chemicals. Despite families offering samples, there are issues with compatibility and lack of facilities to store and process them. Of the 453 bodies exhumed, only 333 samples have been tested, with fewer than a quarter matching their family samples.
It's a very expensive undertaking, especially when you're talking about exhumed remains. You are not using your ordinary extraction protocols. You are using very high-risk stringent chemical regimes, because the DNA within those exhumed remains, number one, you suspect it to be very highly degraded.
Several African leaders were detained and denied entry into Angola, forcing them to return to their countries. Among them is ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who arrived safely in Addis Ababa. The detained leaders include figures from Tanzania, Botswana, Lesotho, Malawi, South Africa, as well as 2 Britons and 1 German. They were reportedly heading to a conference in Luanda organized by Angolan opposition leader Adalberto Costa. The reasons behind the detention remain unclear, and the leaders have condemned the action, emphasizing the importance of freedom, democracy, and Africa cooperation. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has launched an investigation into Thika Low Court's Chief Magistrate Stella Atambo over bribery claims. EACC says it received multiple complaints accusing Atambo of taking bribes from accused individuals. Following a search at her residence, over 2 million shillings were found in her laptop bag, believed to be proceeds of corruption. Atambo is currently being questioned as investigations continue. Charles Lokioto has been sworn in as the new Speaker of the Turkana County Assembly following the resignation of the former Speaker Christopher Nakuleu. Lokioto won the election with 30 votes, beating his closest rival Abraham Losinyen, who secured 14 votes. Lokioto, who was sworn in by the clerk Linus Lokawa Minyan, has vowed to strengthen the Assembly's work and ensure key bills are passed to improve services for the people of Turkana County.
I, Charles Lokioto Ewoi, having been elected as a Speaker of the County Assembly of Turkana, do solemnly swear that I shall always truly and diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Speaker of the County Assembly of Turkana. So help me God.
President Putin says Russia agrees with the U.S. proposal for a ceasefire in Ukraine, but emphasized that any agreement must address the root causes of the conflict. Speaking in Moscow, Putin noted that many details still need to be worked out. He also thanked the U.S. President Donald Trump for his efforts to end the war, supporting Trump's call for a 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine, which Ukraine has also backed. Putin added that that might reach out to Trump to discuss on further steps. That's the Newswire. My name is Ellen Tirop.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes, but then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
With politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling
Chilled Spice.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
Good morning this Friday, taking a look at what is happening on the streets today. We almost probably will see a lot of outbound traffic today getting into the weekend. But a quick look at what's coming off a thicker superhighway and just a little bit of traffic as you then approach Survey. That's going to clog up for some, we see, but nothing much happening in most parts of the city, at least not for now. Uhuru Highway looks good getting into the CBD. Gong Road flowing freely. And also traffic coming off of Ombaso Road is not an issue now. We'll take a look at the Kangunda Road, the Eastern Bypass, where that looks good as well. And we're starting off traffic this morning without too much of an issue. Friday looks like it will be just right. Let's talk and keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
I literally had egg on my face. Literally. Today, like literally, I had some egg for breakfast and I had it on my face. You see what I'm doing, don't you?
Yes. No. She's telling us we're being asked to look at her face.
No.
Me, I'm looking. You looked.
Okay. It's now your turn to eat.
Tell me.
You didn't.
Tell me when to stop.
Yikes. Sawa, good morning, Gibas.
Good morning.
You also. Yes.
How are you?
Thank you, please.
Yes. You are very good, please.
Yes. Very well, as you can see.
Yes, I can see. So,
in true Kenyan fashion.
I'm telling you.
Otherwise.
Mambo ni bulai. I'm glad to know that mko salama leo asubuhi.
Tuko salama.
Jana. You see how things are natural representation of the words that you speak.
Yes.
Jana, the president was giving people chapati.
Kamsa?
Yeah. Serving chapati to children.
Let me tell you, this thing called effort. Just effort like this.
Yeah.
Huh? WSR. Hey. Other things, Kando, just for the time being, aside. Effort.
A for effort, man.
So it's A for effort or E for effort?
Well. Let's start with that one for now. We've not had coffee.
Where? You want to kill the president with the names? Simutaniwa bana.
So we are sorry, we won't do it again.
Sorry.
Bas, everybody's fine. Check. President has given chapati. Check. It's Friday. Check. Watch it from be a village strong. That's word I can't say very well, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Bas. Have you seen Ednah today?
Yes.
Ata kabla tuanze anything else. Ednah, bas. Ednah is up. Ednah is awake. If she's awake, it's okay. Some conversations that we're having today. Is Amanda happy? Wait. Am I the one who is not seeing?
It's that egg.
It's the egg on the face that's bringing problems here.
egg.
Asubui na mapema hii. All right. Conversations that we will have today. We'll start with a 7 a.m. conversation, and it's going to be with Mary Mkundia, and she is a executive coach and speaker, a certified gender emotional intelligence practitioner. Where? Yeah, people go to school to study nursing. Others do other things. Anyway, she'll be talking about bullying in the workplace. Did you know that bullying in the workplace actually happens? And that grown-ups, adults, you assume that they are, actually are victims and or perpetrators of bullying. And we'll be talking about that and its ethical practices this morning with Mary. And then at 8 a.m., we will be looking at boosting Kenya's rural electrification with engineer Fred Ishuga, who is a general manager at Renewable Energy Research and Development Corporation. There's a long name. I just want to tell you what it is. There's a place like this. I wonder how when somebody says, where do you work? Then you say, I work at the Renewable Energy Research and Development, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation.
REREC.
Exactly.
It's called
REREC. Yes.
REREC. Renewable appears twice. They're serious about this renewable thing.
Yes. You must be sure that that's
okay.
where what we are doing. So, REREC.
This is good.
And it's World Kidney Day. The number of people who have suffered or are suffering and unfortunately will suffer for life from kidney disease is rising year on year. Today is World Kidney Day, and our Healthy Friday conversation will be right around this. We will be joined by Dr. Ben Lomataya, who is a consultant nephrologist with the Aga Khan University Hospital, and we'll be having that conversation today. Too many people, and getting younger in age, suffering from kidney disease, what to look out for and how to manage it. Those are conversations that we will have roundabout this morning, getting into the final of Kenya's biggest conversation for this week. And we're getting onto our live streams. They are up on YouTube, yes, Facebook, yes, and on X, and our audience on KTN and on radio around the country, the region, and indeed around the world. Karibuni sana. We're saying a big hello to you as you click into the room this morning, and we can already see everybody inside. Opulence and arrogance are never clear signs. We'll come back to that because it's a bit. Let's talk. Salamu kutoka Dayton, Minnesota is Cyprian. He's here in the room today. Good morning from Colchester. That's Rahim Tula. He says good morning. R says Tupo. He was asked someone, he's answered. Tuned in from Tamu is Rose Grace. Good morning to you. Linus Gitonga, CT is whistling, but okay. Is also here. Monica Oile is tuned in and says, thanks for the week. Thank you for being here. You've definitely made it a good one. Good morning from 1,000 Hills, Oyaore to CT.
Oyaore?
Thanks.
Ahinya.
Yes.
Okay.
It has opened up.
Sana.
That's what it means.
Yes.
Oh, the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, the morning has opened up. Yes.
Okay. Thuku Wamwangi says, good morning from Phoenix in Arizona. Good morning, Kenya. Good morning. Kisa Daniel is in Uganda and says, good morning. Agri Momanyi says it's only in Kenya where leaders are lying. No. I can tell you. No. I can name on all my appendages other countries where leaders are lying as well. So you guys are you're in good company.
It's just that our leaders are in good company.
Exactly.
Yes,
Don't worry. And you're also asking, tuned in from illiterates in the office while the learned keep on searching. Happy Sabbath, Nyaboke, in advance. Bas. Abere Bethel says, good morning, Team Spice. Happy to have tuned in from Kilifi County. What's happening with the presidency? Why is the ID becoming a campaign strategy? It's not becoming, it is one. Ago says, good morning, Team Spice. Good morning to you. Please ask CT, what is the president trying to achieve from the chapati serving PR? Is he sending a message?
Yes, he is sending
to his West allies?
He's sending a message.
Or is he trying to consolidate the ground?
All of the above.
Bas. A, B, C, D for all of the above.
Lest people say this is a president who is not visible. He is visible.
He is.
And you can see him. If you are in the northeastern part of the country, we saw him. If you are the coast, you saw him. Now, the county of Nairobi, you see him. Yes, and you see him doing the things that should be done when we want people to see you.
Barack Muluka would have said,
Yes, and we would have responded to it by also saying,
It's unfortunate that we saw 2 people die yesterday. We can't run away from that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We can't run away from that. 2 people died, and it was on all of this. We'll come into some of those stories later, but it was within all of this. And it just cements the conversation that we had yesterday morning, that what exactly is going on? It cannot be that day 4 of a presidential tour of the capital that we see such, criminality, and then unfortunately we see death. So we'll look into details of that, but I mean, just, a moment to say that we condemn that. Hello, Princess Ndu City and Aseto. Good morning to you, Leo. And you go on to say, unpatriotic Kenyans wish to thank the KK administration for removing charges on IDs. The previous government had really oppressed citizenry by charging IDs. Okay, sawa. Dr. Venvik says, good morning, Salimia Ednah Nachirop. Peter Kiaria says, good morning, Mombasa, the land of chapati and maharagwe and nazi.
Kabisa, slapped in the morning.
It's in air.
Okay. Maharagwe and nazi.
Clearly, you've taken
you.
Proper.
Watch. Touch all the tentacles in the body.
Your taste buds will do a jig for you.
Wow. Is it just after like a night of reveling, or like in the morning, any day in the morning?
Any day, every day.
Ubiquitous.
Chapati na maharagwe ya nazi. I've got to try it. Ako wapi hao watu ambao wanapika Asha? Who? Those people, sour. Okay, we look for them. Good morning, CT Ndu. Dennis tuned in as always. Say hi to Tirop. What is going on? Sour. Good morning from Doha, Princess Ndu, Dennis and CT. What happened to Sifuna in Angola? You tell us. Happy good morning, team. Tuned in. Jose Mahindra is also tuned in. Georgia Call says, good morning, my good people. CT, Princess Ndu and Dennis, remember not to forget Ednah. It is not possible to forget Ednah. I don't think you guys know. We just say Ednah. I don't think you guys know the fireball that it is this woman. It is not possible to forget her. El Chapo is leaving behind him lots of destruction, including mugging and killing. You guys, how is it that somebody's name in just a few days can change to something else?
Let me tell you something. This is a good thing.
Yes.
When the citizenry can parody a president, it is called venting.
Yes.
In other words, it's called letting off steam. It is good.
You would be happy that they do it in that manner.
And when the president takes it in his stride, it is an even better thing. Yes.
Yeah,
it's true. But if you take offense and you take it personally.
Let me just ask a question to ponder.
Yes.
This region that we live in, Eastern Central Africa, tell me how many presidents you think can be called this, that or the other.
And you still be walking about.
Still walking about.
Yeah.
Hey,
I know one. Yes. It's the Kenyan president.
Well done.
Well, Dennis, excellent.
Good job.
You're married, daddy, son.
Kabisa.
Yes.
Robinson Kisera, we see you tuned in from Hong Kong. Happy Friday, people from Dallas in Texas, says Anthony Karanja. Good morning, Chapo Songo. Sasa unaona sasa. Is at it again. You guys, we are even trying. You can't even help us to help
but you must remember, this is a trend. The immediate former deputy president was given a name Quick Sharp.
Rigiji.
It has stuck.
Yes.
In fact, people refer to him as Rigiji as though that's his name.
Yeah, exactly.
And he also, in good humor, has not kicked a fuss.
I kind of like El Chapo. I mean, if anybody speaks to WSR, just El Chapo's not bad. El Chapo is not bad.
Subdued.
Do you know who El Chapo was?
I do.
Do you know where he is at the moment? Where?
Sorry. Good morning, Spice family. It's a happy Furahi day, says Bathsheba. Talal Bakapsha says good morning. Mwalimu.
That was my former student.
Oh, really? No wonder he's called you Mwalimu CT, because there you go. And he remembers. Ivan Omondi, to the Spice gents, kindly spice this Friday for 3 amazing SpiceFM ladies by buying a few wine bottles. But you see, this guy, Ivan Omondi Odera, you are IOO. Have you heard what he has said?
Yes. I have heard what he has said.
Thanks.
I even understand what he has said.
Will you do it?
What?
What he has said you should do.
She's the one who said it.
He has even asked you kindly, pesa utas. Dennis Kiprop is also saying good morning. From Hunters, tuned in from Dallas, Fort Worth in Texas is Robert Abur. Robert Bogus greeting us from Ombaso. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, Jaber. Good morning, Spice team. Life is precious. Indeed it is. We should respect God's creation. Greeting Kenyans from Githunguri. Okay. Langat is talking about somebody who actually bullied him, right? At work. So obviously this is a big issue, Ednah, and it's already coming through. This bullying in the workplace is a thing. Good morning, Spice. I'm following a conversation live from Kisumu. I wish you a good day to you too, Calvins. Sir George Gashoiri is tuned in, looking forward to a great show. Wishing all a blessed weekend and a happy Friday. Indeed. Ben Otieno is also tuned in. He says greetings to Asha and Aisha and the team. I don't know who Aisha is, but I think it's Asha you're referring to. Margaret Wanjohi is also tuned in and says it's good to be here. Let's continue the great conversations. Thank you so much. Langat, I see you have an issue here. We'll look into it. Chef says, good morning. Due to the MOU, the price of fuel has gone up. Today is the 14th. We've seen that thing already do the thing. And Daniel Miners tuned in and says, good morning. Tuned in from Maputo, Mozambique is David Masinde. Good morning from Eldoret, says Charles Odor. My take. See, you greet us first. Before you start talking about lamentations, you see, even you started lamenting. Say hi, Buana. Chris Mora says good morning, and Samson Chilo is greeting us from Doha. Good morning to everybody. Karibuni sana. Okay, CT, let's look into what the proverb is for today, shall we?
Yes. Today's proverb is a simple, easy to understand proverb. It is our final proverb from the Gabonese Republic. Okay? Lessons to be learned. It isn't a good thing when an entire region of a continent has the name, is considered to be a coup belt. It cannot be a good thing. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Because amidst all this, the focus is on the suffering that people have. But the suffering comes about as a result of the actions that brought about the coup. But more importantly, the events over time that lingered and remain unresolved that brought about the discontent. Because every time there's a coup, the citizenry come out and cheer in those who have taken over. It speaks volumes. Okay? Lessons to be learned. Listen to the citizenry. Listen. The positions of authority are there to serve the citizenry. When the citizenry don't feel they're being served, they will speak out. The criticism is the citizenry speaking out. So, let me go to the proverb. All right? Simple, easy to understand. Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends. I like this proverb.
Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends.
Yeah, they'll prevent you.
Show me people you hang out with and
I'll show you who you are.
Show you who you are.
True.
So?
Kabisa.
As dude say, n'est-ce pas?
C'est ça. Okay, let's look into the headlines. Where? Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, on the front page, in the headline, ridiculous Ruto. President William Ruto is a generous leader, not just with his money, but his promises too. The pledges he continues to make have earned him monikers because some sound outrageous while others are plain absurd. Kenyans are still waiting to see swimming lions or... Sorry. Shall I take that again? Kenyans are still waiting to see swimming lions or 1 million chapati machines. But what? He just talked about the 1 million chapati machine juice. Give the man a minute. Some of the things that he said, his latest promises, a machine that produces 1 million chapatis a day. I don't know if you will be selling this chapati or it's for people to come and eat. I don't know. But hey, also another promise, help funds would be disbursed today. Today shall be disbursed to varsity students. Has not happened yet. Today was that day. Juicy. Has it been disbursed? Help. People who applied for help, have you received money? Today. Government paid 500 million shilling to host the Grammys. Past promise. It's not me who said it, I'm just reading. Past promises. A 6 kg gas cylinder will cost between 300 and 500 shillings. Now, it could be just the cylinder without the gas. Sour. Because right now I think it's about 1,000 bob. It's possible that it would be the cylinder without the gas. But of course, the assumption is that it was the gas, the cylinder with the gas in it is what would cost 300 to 500 shillings. Newsflash, that doesn't work. New mothers to get free diapers for 3 months under NHIF. Well, seeing as NHIF no longer exists, that kind of flew through the window, through the coop. Tourists could visit Lamu to watch swimming lions. Now, excuse me, I've been to Lamu a couple of times.
Yes.
I have never, ever seen swimming lions. But, you know, it's possible that maybe where I went, there was the...
Was it a slip of the tongue? Because I know sea lions.
A slip of the tongue is like, oh, CT flew down. But a slip of the tongue is that it flew down instead of fell down. That's a flip of the tongue.
You can fly down as a human being. And for information, lions can swim. Just so
lions can swim, but they don't swim. Those swimming variety are not in Lamu.
No, there are no lions in Lamu.
Let's start from there.
Yes, okay.
So how is that a slip of the tongue?
On the way to Lamu, you could see some.
Uko inside Nini.
Yeah, but they're not many.
Sheba Hills.
Sheba Hills is the complete
opposite. That's in Kwale.
Yes, Lamu is this other side. The county, you got Mombasa. You go to Kilifi County.
Kilifi.
Yes. Then there's another county in between.
Taita Taveta.
That's on the hills on the other side. I'm giving you homework. Where? In between, listening. There's a county.
Tana River.
Yes.
Tana River.
Yes.
Okay, so Mombasa.
Yes.
Kilifi. Tana River.
Yes, then you go to Lamu.
Then Lamu.
Yes.
Lamu's at the end of it all.
Yes, and then after Lamu there's the sea. It's called Indian Ocean.
I mean, when I was going to Lamu, I was in there. And then
you landed.
Yeah, you understand. So is it possible that it could have been a slip of the tongue that when you say that they're swimming lions, you know, somebody said that there are tigers in Kenya as well, which we know that there are no tigers. So it's possible that maybe thought that, you know, when I was trying to say tiger, I meant leopard.
Leopard.
It's possible.
So that's swimming lions.
Swimming lion.
Sea lions. But do we have sea lions?
Yeah. No, we don't have sea lions.
It's hard. We are trying. The waters are too warm, actually, in the Indian Ocean to have sea lions.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yes, but it isn't. Lions swim when they're chasing prey.
Hold. Simniachi nimaliza headline from the bold newspaper. Let me give you another.
I've rested my case.
We're still going to read the story, so don't rest your case. Just hold it there for a minute. So when they said they're going to give babies free diapers under NHIF, somebody can actually come and say, well, NHIF is defunct, so you know we can't give. Had it been that NHIF is not defunct, we would have given the babies free diapers for 3 months.
Yeah, but that in my opinion is a slip.
That one is a slip.
You know why I'm saying it's a slip? It's only now that it has entered my head. The year is 2025.
Yeah, it's 2025. Yeah.
It has been 2024 in my head.
Even till now, yesterday.
No, it's now. Now it's sung. It's 2025.
Okay.
I know the number of times I write 2024 because I did that for a whole year. Okay. We've had NHIF since 19 God knows what.
That's why. So it's possible. It is true.
In the head. When it becomes the generic term for a healthcare system that is provided for by the government, we will call it NHIF.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
It's like when you talk about if you belong to a certain generation like mine, any vehicle that left, say, Thika and came to Nairobi was called a Nissan.
I thought you were going to say Peugeot. Yes.
No. Peugeot was Rift Valley Peugeot Services.
Okay.
Yes. So even Mombasa, those MPS, Mombasa Peugeot service. Okay. And the vehicle is a Peugeot.
Yeah.
Peugeot.
Okay? Otherwise known as Peugeot.
Yeah.
Okay? The point is this. You then referred to the vehicle that carried 14 to 15 passengers from Thika.
As a Nissan.
It was Nissan because they became, the make was Toyota and other makes, but it was called a Nissan. And you knew what it referred to.
Yes.
Not the make of the car.
Yeah.
A type of vehicle that does a specific job.
So like now this NHIF is referred to as the health system.
Yes.
We were also told that digital jobs, piga computer, unapata pesa. Clicking computers from a village to earn dollars is another promise that was made by the president. So these are some of the headlines. We're going to look
But that
into
thing
this story.
works.
If you click a computer, you make money.
No. The clicking of the computer again is generic. Look, this is not
Online jobs.
It's an online job. Okay, it's like someone saying you go to an ATM, you finger a number, the money comes out. That's not how it works. Okay, you need to have money in your account to begin with. Then there are processes. But when someone says that, colloquially speaking, we do know what it is that you are saying. So
we understand.
You know, the thing is, at that point, it was not even a government policy because we were still doing digital jobs before your government.
Wah.
Nasema tu.
Oh, no. It is true. It is very, very true. But one could say that you have continued with what was going on, and you may even have data to show it has improved.
It has improved.
What I'm trying to do here is this. It is extremely important to critique, absolutely.
Yes.
But if there are gains that you can see, just point them out.
Absolutely, point them out
as we go along.
For sure.
Yes.
Necessary.
Yes.
Let me do other headlines really quickly and then we can do, and then Ednah, just forgive us. Budget. Police teachers win big. Police, teachers win big in proposals. These are just budget proposals. We'll see what actually happens with that. Pipeline pays Treasury 7 billion shillings in dividends. See what tugawia pesa kidogo tulipe school fees. Tulipe capitation. 7 billion. 7 billion.
Given to whom?
Dividends paid to Treasury from pipeline. Billion.
Okay.
Yeah, you just hold that one for now, as Dennis gives us the headlines in the nation.
Hey, watu mafuta kuna pesa.
Kwambia, my friend.
Daily Nation. Kenya's 5 billion Haiti burden. The mission has cost taxpayers 4.5 billion shillings in 9 months at a time the country is struggling to finance its own critical obligations, reporting to deep budget cuts in key sectors like health and education. What is the rationale for setting aside meager resources for foreign interventions? And as you speak in the supplementary budget, they're asking for extra 2.5 billion shillings to fund the Haiti mission. Now, learners will select senior school in second term. Grade 9 learners will choose their senior schools during the second term after the Ministry of Education finalizes the guidelines for admission as well as the classification of schools, with selection having been delinked from registration of candidates for national examinations back page. Grade 9, we know the problems associated with that class. Anyway, MCS plot ouster of Meru cabinet hours to Kawira verdict. Ward representatives have initiated a series of impeachment and censure motions targeting 8 out of 10 county executive committee members. Now, puzzle of woman's murder and missing parts. Now, Jane Omolo, 26-year-old, called her mother from Ombaso on February 6th, saying she wanted to discuss something with her. 2 days later, she vanished. Her family's desperate search ended in aura. And as well, concern funding crisis deepened after President Trump froze 1.7 billion shillings wired into UN funds. So the debacle continues, and prominent job seekers flock Raila's office home. That is in page 10 as well. Some of the headlines on the Daily Nation. City.
Right. God Almighty. Okay. News. Today, you have Siasa. And top left right hand corner, and top right hand corner is just news. Tragedy as President motorcade hits and kills pedestrian in city.
Yep.
This gentleman we are told was of Turkish descent in the country of Turkey. Okay, and he's somebody who is known to the community, and will be a pillar, somebody who has benefited and helped many people. That's not even have a picture, but they were kind enough not to just to show the body and nothing more. Kind, yes. Siasa, how long will Raila stay in shaky marriage with embattled Ruto? Who says it's shaky? All right. Why it's all over between public service CS Justin Muturi and Ruto? Okay, the reference here is to an interview that the Public Service Cabinet Secretary had on Wednesday in a televised interview, and the implication was that all wasn't well, okay? So the conclusion with this headline is that it's over. But what was seen and what was televised and what was listened to was that all was not well, not just between him and the president, but him and high-ranking officials within what?
Government.
Right. Gadungu. New university funding model flawed and ineffective. That's what she said. Well, thank you for jumping in right there. People have been saying it.
Yeah, thanks for joining the chorus.
Yes. This is good. This is good. Okay. Right. Bang in the middle of the paper, public officers spent 6 billion on travel after Gen Z demos. It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, it is.
State House and lodges repairs to eat up 8 billion. Okay. It's the amounts.
I'm telling you.
It's amounts. I find it right. Our courts are interpreting the concept of public interest narrowly by ignoring macroeconomic consequences of their decisions. This is a story by Jendi Kisero. This I have not read, but I want to read it.
Okay.
Yes, because what he says in that one sentence is an irrefutable truth.
Yeah.
Yes, you make a decision, the consequences can be vast, but it speaks of volumes, because if this is to be a critique, then it says that some certain judgments are made, and what is being alluded to here is perhaps sufficient homework, otherwise known as research wasn't done on the subject, especially with reference to long-term consequences. That's where the macro comes in. Okay, disclose projects funded by tax-free bonds, Treasury told. That's the MP speaking. MPs are speaking. Tell us. Okay? Oh, wait. Their fear is that these funds could be used for recurrent expenditure. But usually they know. So you just say what they know so that we can deal with what they know. High investment incomes lifts Sanlam to record 1 billion profit. Sanlam Kenya has ended a 4-year streak of losses to post 1.05 billion net profit. Net. Okay? Fund managers see unit trust grow. Fund managers expect continued growth of unit trust assets under management despite a drop in interest rates. Okay, good news on the financial side. Now let's look at the bang in the middle of the paper, right? Congo link in central bank freeze of NBK sale. What? Regulator sets condition for Access Bank to exit DRC. KCB Group says it has a plan B if the buyout bid fails. What are we talking about? A condition imposed by Nigeria's banking regulator requiring Access Bank to exit the DRC before it can acquire National Bank of Kenya from the KCB Group has frozen the buyout deal. Okay.
Access wanted to buy National Bank.
Yes.
It's true. Okay.
Fresh revelations indicate that the Central Bank of Nigeria had placed a condition for Access Bank to sell its DRC subsidiary before completing the deal.
Okay.
This is a long story, and I will leave it there. Okay.
For now.
Then bang in the middle of this paper. There's a top left right-hand corner as well. This is a story of a certain gentleman called Fazul Mohammed. Okay. It's very good.
It is an interesting one.
It should be interesting. It is interesting. Then there's bang in the middle of the paper, Life. Story about somebody called James Again. As the managing principal for corporate and investment banking for ABSA Kenya. All right?
Okay.
Life, I think, tells us the story of, this guy whom you're seeing here. He's like this. He started here, went to behind the store, secondary school, and then he attended left, right, center, university, and then and so forth and so forth.
Jeez. If you can get through the man that CT, we'll come back after this break and look at details of the stories that are making headlines this morning. It's Kenya's biggest conversation at 19 minutes to 7. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
All right, we're seeing a little bit of traffic. It's coming in on the Thika Superhighway and it's getting through towards Survey. As you come in from Githurai, it's not too bad. Little spots here and there, but you'll be able to get through. Kangunda Road, in and outbound traffic, slowing things down as you're trying to get towards Outer Ring or going into the direction of Njiru. As you're coming off of the Eastern Bypass, a little bit of traffic here as well, touching on North Airport Road, coming in from Outer Ring as well. The Southern Bypass looks good. A little bit of traffic starting to form on Gong Road, but Westlands coming off of Waiaki Way through towards Westlands and then out towards the expressway. Not too much happening here. Limuru Road, we know that's going to pile up coming in from United Nations Avenue, and we can already see the signs of that happening. Right, to try to choose your routes and keep it moving. If you get into something, let us know. If you find a good route, let us know that as well. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
17 minutes to 7 o'clock. I want to look at this story that the Standard, Kenya's bold newspaper, talks about today, and some of the promises that have been made by the president that, let's look at them and look at this story. King of absurd promises amid stinging flattery on social media. Land of promises, mass chapati production, a machine that produces 1 million chapati daily to support the Dishina County school feeding programs in Nairobi. So that's what it was for. It's not that you're going to now they'll not be like, how you have oil vending and milk vending machines, not a chapati vending machine that will now be available to anybody. It's to support essentially the school feeding Dishina County program. Whether that's going to happen or not, we don't know. Transforming Mathare slums into a city. Upgrading Mathare into a city with skyscraper affordable houses and river generation projects. Help disbursement guarantee. Students would receive the Higher Education Loans Board help funds by Friday, or they should call him directly. So if they don't receive the funds today, I don't know if they're going to get his number. It's going to be put on a billboard somewhere, so you can call us and say, Mr. President, sir, we applied, but we've not gotten our money. Today is the day that you're supposed to actually get that money if you applied for help, right? Last mile internet connectivity, free internet hotspots in every home, school and marketplace to allow seamless communication and business operations in your home. Internet. Kila mtu apewe internet. For free. Yeah. So, hosting the Grammys in Kenya is another thing that have been said in 2027. That's just 2 years ago. How about we build schools first where people can...
My friend, historically the Grammys have always been held in the US.
Yes, it's their award.
It is their award.
Yeah.
Okay? There are people there. And it has, in the early days, when it started, it moved from one place to the other. Yes. Then it settled over time from the year 2000. Across edges.
In Los Angeles, exactly. It's like saying we're going to host the mamas in Ukraine.
Yes.
And they're African awards. What are you doing?
Guys, devolution.
Devolution. Sour. Okay.
You know this guy here? We
need to devolve him. The government went ahead to even claim, rather the president went ahead to claim that 500 million shillings had been spent to secure the event. I don't know who.
No, but who said this?
He did.
Who?
The president.
Said what?
William Ruto said that we have paid 500 million shillings to secure the event and that they're going to be hosted in Kenya in 2027. He did. He said it. Ngoja. Digital jobs, what was the phrase? Bigger computer or pate pesa, something like that. Encouraged young people to work online and earn dollars by tapping on their computers from their rural homes. Free diapers for new mothers. Now this would be something that I would wish would actually be a promise that could be kept, because you can't imagine the burden of not having diapers for your child between that age of 1 to 3 months. They promised 3 months of free diapers for all new mothers under the now defunct National Health Insurance Fund. Some promises are really close to the heart. And when you say that to expectant mothers or families with fathers and mothers who understand the burden of buying diapers, it's a big deal. For you to not do it,
You know, sometimes it's good to get clarification. When I ask what, I'm going back to the Grammy thing. I have to. What exactly the president said? Because why I'm asking this question, there are many things it has been said the president has said. We've raised them here. What exactly did he say? No, and I'm saying it was later clarified that there was a Grammy Global Ventures that was going to set up a musical academy in Kenya. Okay? Allegedly, the 500 million shillings was going to be a deposit for allegedly.
So now, if that was the case, the president should have said a musical academy is going to be set up by Grammy Ventures in Kenya, and we have paid 500 million shillings to secure that. But what he said is that the Grammys will be hosted in Kenya, and we have paid 500 million to secure the event.
I am in full agreement with what you're saying. I'm simply saying there is something that we need to keep looking into in terms of what the president pronounces and what he says. And then when we do that, we'll ask the question, how does he get to say these things?
Exactly. Or does he not know that people are listening to him?
There is a process by which, is it that this is the president who just comes up with these things in his head and decides he's speaking on this, or does he follow the normal processes that other people follow, where there are people who inform him of these things? What is it that happens here?
City, you know very well, and I can see how you're asking that question, but you know very well what happens to an individual. It doesn't just have to be the president. When you're standing in front of a crowd and you seem to have gotten the allure of that particular crowd, there is nothing
you will say some really crazy
things. Let me just take you through the chronology. December 2024, President William Ruto announced that Kenya had paid 500 million shillings in a bid to host the Grammys in 2027. However, this claim was met with controversy when Recording Academy, the organization behind Grammys, clarified that they do not accept financial contributions from foreign governments and that 2025 Grammy Awards were scheduled to take place in California. That is when now the Kenyan government came through to clarify what
who in the Kenyan government clarified?
The Kenyan government's Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports later clarified that the agreement with Grammy Global Ventures was not to host the Grammy Awards themselves, but to establish an Africa Academy headquarters or center in Kenya. It was after the fact that President had announced Kenya would host the Grammys.
These people who now came to clarify, are they the ones who advised him in the first place?
This is the problem. That is he getting the advice from people? The other day when he was in Isiolo saying Elwak, Mogadishu, Yoyote, did somebody tell him before that actually, you know what, as far as our stipulations and our projections, we are ready to actually start working on this road? That caused all this controversy later.
Okay, what about the announcement of
even this chapati machine?
Forget chapati. You actually can produce that number of chapatis.
Yes,
it is,
you can.
But it isn't at one machine you press. It's a conveyor. It's a process. Exactly. Conveyor belt. There are
moving parts.
There are machines that can do something like 4,000 chapatis an hour and so forth. But it's a complex system that has to be put together. It is doable, by the way. It's not that it's not doable. It is doable. But you can't start now and in 1 hour you have it.
Yes.
It takes a bit of time. Where am I going with this? Yes. There is something that we must interrogate every time we hear a pronouncement.
Yes.
What we've just done. Okay, what did he say? Attach a ministry to that statement.
Exactly.
And ask, why is it that we are hearing this when there's an alternative to what else we could hear on the same subject? As it identification, immigration issues.
Exactly. But look at these things. Use that and point it to any other thing that was said. For example, when you talk about diapers for new mothers, Ministry of Health, where is it coming from? Ministry of Health, have you already talked to them to make sure that this is available? Is there money that's going to leave the treasury? Are there donors who are giving it up? When you talk about HELB and the money that's supposed to go to students today, Ministry of Education under the Department of Higher Education, and now where HELB now have collapsed HELB and all of those into one department, university funding model. Do they have the money? What happens Friday? Do they have the money? And have you spoken to the people? Because you've made a promise to people there, and you made it in full glare of everybody. Did you before that confirm that these folks have the money? So that by Friday, when you told people to call you, and if they've not received their money, did you confirm that
Friday, which is today?
Today. Today. So did you tell them that, guys, hello, I've told people outside that they're going to receive their money on Friday. Do whatever you need to do. Come rain, come shine. Let's get their money. Did you talk to them beforehand? Did you?
See, we wait.
We wait and see.
See, the day is still young.
Swimming lions in Lamu. Did you talk to the lions that are walking the earth to now find their way to Lamu to start swimming before tourists come and see them?
Me, the swimming lion thing I like. We can take lions there. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that one.
Whale. Now, this one is going to make you happy. Yeah? You liked the lions?
I like lions than the idea of them swimming.
See, Tana River is a river.
It is.
It's a river,
Yes.
like this. He also told them that whales will migrate in Tana River, and he announced that Tana River is a location for witnessing the whale migration.
No. That one. He said.
Yes.
When?
I will tell
Dennis
you.
will tell us.
No!
Dennis is our resident fact checker. He's going to tell us just now. When you don't believe that whales can. You don't believe
that
whales
I don't believe what whales can
be found
do. It's
in
a
Tana
story.
River.
I have a problem with that story.
Sawa. The same man who said swimming lions said whales in the river. Ndio sababu nimekuuliza if Tana is actually a river. Dennis will tell us as you give us a story, CT. We shall confirm. Look at all of them clicking research.
In a light-hearted address, President William Ruto invited attendees to explore Kenya's diverse wildlife spectacles, humorously mentioning unique phenomena such as the whale migration in Tana River, swimming lions in Lamu, and the baboon parliament in Naivasha.
Baboon yo tumeona. Hiyo ni kweli.
Baboon parliament exists.
Yeah, that one is there.
Whales.
Tana River whales.
River.
Actually, whales cannot exist in a river.
That is why I asked you whether Tana is a river to confirm.
It is
first
a river.
of all,
it is a river, but whales cannot. That one, it's not. There's no ifs and buts.
Too massive.
They cannot. They need a lot of water.
And
they
space.
Need deep. They need space. They cannot. M23 rebels.
City. Nakupenda bure. M23.
We've now moved from Kenya. We are in DRC. Congo M23 rebels to begin direct peace talks on March 18th, Angola says. Yes, direct peace talks between the Democratic Republic and M23 rebels will begin in the Angola capital on March 18th. Angola's presidency said in a statement on Wednesday, which was day before yesterday. The Southern African country has been trying to mediate a lasting ceasefire and de-escalate tensions between Congo and the neighboring Rwanda, which has been accused of backing the Tutsi-led rebel group. Rwanda denies these allegations. Okay? So we are hoping that we will see peace.
I think that follows as well. SADC has announced the withdrawal of the troops.
Yes.
And I think that will be done in a phased-out manner. What that means for DRC and the war there is to be seen. You know.
Wait and see.
That war in DRC. Next week, I'll bring one of our colleagues here.
Okay.
So that he's somebody who has studied this for a long time. So we can have these discussions that our listeners can actually understand. This DRC matter, what it is about. We've had this discussion before. We had a guest who walked us through this thing quite nicely.
Beautifully.
Quite nicely.
Yeah.
Quite nicely. Want to have this conversation again so that people can understand. So when you hear, in totality, you have clarity as to what it is that has happened, why it happened, and why it continues.
Yes.
Okay? But let me just say this. In a manner of speaking, and this one I'm speaking anecdotally, I have no facts to support this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yes.
The reindeer in Kenya?
No.
Sorry.
No, forget the reindeer. It could be. But whenever you see conflicts of this nature, and at the backdrop of this conversation, there are untold deposits of mineral wealth. The problem is about money.
Yes.
It's about wealth. And it's about individuals who want to control it. You can talk around it as much as you like, but it usually boils down to that. The only time that there is a difference is if you look at our neighboring country, Somali, where they're not really fighting about any mineral wealth. It's just sheer raw power. And people wanting to be independent and to have their own. And that is something that they can sort out internally because it is an internal problem.
Yeah.
But in DRC, because the thing that DRC is known for is the huge mineral wealth it has, these discussions and these fights, primarily, there is wealth involved and it's at the center. As I said, I do not have all the evidence to support what I've said, but anecdotally speaking, if I'm to look at conflicts around the world, the issue of wealth is never really far from the discussion as to why it is people are disagreeing. It's never really far.
Yeah, and most of the conflicts that we see are resource conflicts. Usually, there are very few conflicts on the planet
Earth
that have been outside of resource issues.
Yeah, because even if we talk about even the war in Ukraine, the deal that America is cutting with Ukraine. America wants to cut that deal with Ukraine based off resources, the rare earth minerals that they have, that they can help them even with intelligence and weapons to fight the war.
That's it.
At the center of it as well, there is resources and money involved. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I want to, and Dennis, maybe you can just give us that Haiti 5 billion burden story in 2 minutes.
So that is in page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. And Kenya's peacekeeping mission in Haiti has gobbled up taxpayers' 4.5 billion shillings in 9 months, even as the country struggles to finance critical obligations resulting to budget cuts in key sectors like health and education. 800 police officers have been battling deadly gangs in the strife-torn Caribbean island nation since June last year under the international mission approved by the UN Security Council, but not led by the United Nations. Now, this arrangement means the multinational security support mission relies on voluntary contributions from UN member states. The funding crisis deepened when US President Donald Trump froze $13 million, approximately 1.7 billion shillings, that had been wired to the UN dedicated fund. Now, this has seen 5 billion shillings spent by the Kenyan government to support that as well. But now there is a deficit of around 2.5 billion shillings that is under supplementary budget that the government is requesting Parliament to approve. So this is, we are funding this, yet back home we have our own issues, funding healthcare, education and other issues. So that's the question. Why fund Haiti mission when we are unable to fund critical issues back
around
home.
Here? That's interesting, because we also did believe that there was going to be some, external funding that was going to back this mission, and that was one of the major reasons why it was easy to make the decision about going into Haiti. But if this money is coming from taxpayers' money, then the big question marks that are knocking us in the head as to why that is the case, because it was understood that there was going to be a lot of US involvement in terms of backing that.
There's a time the government addressed that, and they said that while they depend on Congress and the U.S. Senate to release the funds, they will be spending the taxpayers' money,
and then they will pay them back.
They will just return it to the exchequer.
Let's see. Let's also see. Look, guys, seriously, by the end of today, help money should be in your accounts. No, it's not. Call the president.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Ellen Tirop. At least 13 people have been confirmed dead in a tragic road accident at Molo Nakuru Eldoret Highway. The collision occurred at 2 a.m. involving a passenger matatu with 11 occupants and a trailer carrying coffee seeds. The trailer heading towards Eldoret reportedly developed a brake failure and crashed into the matatu, which was traveling from Kitale to Nairobi. Police spokesman Mushiri Nyaga confirmed that all 11 matatu passengers and the trailer driver died in the accident. President William Ruto today is wrapping up his 5-day tour in Nairobi County. Yesterday, he visited Kibra and Langata, where he announced that Kenyans will now receive their ID cards for free. This reverses a previous policy that required Kenyans aged 18 and above to pay 300 shillings for the essential document.
Maneno ya ubaguzi kwa mambo ya ID tuitolee mbali. Kila mwananchi apatiwe ID. Kila mwananchi apatiwe nini? Kitambulisho. Na mimi nataka nitangaze nikiwa hapa Kibra leo ya kwamba kitambulisho ipatianwe bila malipo yoyote. Kila mtu apatiwe kitambulisho bila malipo na kwa mpango ambayo haina ubaguzi.
President Ruto also hinted at broadening his so-called broad-based government.
The balance is still work in progress because most of the samples, as you may be aware, they were in very bad shape. Some of them have decomposed.
Families of those who died in Shakahola Forest Massacre in Kilifi County will have to wait longer to identify their loved ones. The State Laboratory Office says it lacks the funds to conduct DNA tests on the exhumed bodies. This news has dashed hopes of uncovering the full truth about the massacre, which gained national and international attention. Dr. Joseph Kimani, Director General of the Forensic Unit, explained that DNA testing on decomposed bodies is costly and requires advanced chemicals. Despite the families offering samples, there are issues of compatibility and lack of facilities to store and process them. Of the 453 bodies exhumed, only 333 samples have been tested, with fewer than a quarter matching the family samples.
It's a very expensive undertaking, especially when you're talking about exhumed remains. You are not using your ordinary extraction protocols. You are using very high-risk stringent chemical regimes because the DNA within those exhumed remains, number one, you suspect it to be very highly degraded.
Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has launched an investigation into Thika Low Court's Chief Magistrate Stella Atambo over bribery claims. EACC says it received multiple complaints accusing Atambo of taking bribes from accused individuals. Following a search at her residence, Kenya shillings 2,070,000 was found in a laptop bag believed to be proceeds of corruption. Atambo is currently being questioned as investigations continue. A case filed by the Law Society of Kenya against police officers over allegations of misconduct during the Gen Z-led anti-government protest last June will now proceed to full hearing. The High Court has upheld its jurisdictions to hear and determine the case in which LSK wants the officers responsible for the fatal shooting of Rex Masai during the protest held accountable. The police had objected to the court hearing the matter, arguing that LSK failed to exhaust all internal dispute resolution options before seeking the intervention of the court. But Justice Lawrence Mugambi ruled that the Police Act does not provide specific reliefs for complainants other than disciplinary actions against officers. President Putin says Russia agrees with the U.S. proposals for ceasefire in Ukraine, but emphasized that any agreement must address the root causes of the conflict. Speaking in Moscow, Putin noted that many details still need to be worked out. He also thanked the U.S. President Donald Trump for his efforts to end the war, supporting Trump's call for a 30-day ceasefire, which Ukraine has also backed. Putin added that he might reach out to Trump to discuss on further steps. That's the Newswire. I'm Elaine Tirop.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
Friday morning, and let's take a quick look at what's happening on the roads this morning. A little bit of that traffic is coming off of the Thika Superhighway and just that survey. And now Kiambu Road has joined it all with some traffic as you're trying to get towards Muthaiga Square. And on the Eastern Bypass, there is traffic heading towards North Airport Road and some of that coming off of Outer Ring. Kangunda Road, touching in and out, going into the direction of Njuru and then coming back in the other direction towards Outer Ring. That is busy this morning. So we're going to keep an eye on all of that. But Friday doesn't look too hippity-hoppity in terms of traffic this morning. Keeping an eye on things, and let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning to you. It's 7 minutes after 7 o'clock and you're tuned into Kenya's biggest conversation. The last one for this week, and getting right into the middle of the month of March. And even as we do, our live streams have been up on YouTube, Facebook and on X as you click into it this morning. And karibu to our audience on KTN as well this morning, doing information, doing conversations and issues that should be front and center of discourse, comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable. That's what we do on the Situation Room every morning, and always glad to have you here as we have those very important conversations day in, day out. And as we're getting into a conversation this morning, it's one that is important. It's one that has happened, and we don't actually give as much attention to it. When we hear about bullying, we think about it in the context of children at school and what should be done and how it should be handled by their parents. We don't ever take that conversation to what may possibly happen at the workplace, where we assume that adults should be able to take care of themselves emotionally. And, if somebody's bullying you, I can tell you, CT, get out, leave me alone. But actually, very, very different. And to help us out with that conversation this morning is executive coach and speaker, certified Genos emotional intelligence practitioner, Mary Mukindia. Good morning.
Good morning too.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante, first time here, so a little nervous, but actually delighted to be here. You are the biggest conversation.
Trust me, you'll be fine.
Thank you. Especially
Especially after CT Muga puts you to work. CT goes to a different African country every week. Don't ask me how he does it, of how he does it. And he comes back every week with a basket full of proverbs from that particular country. So he's going to tell us what country we're in, and he's going to give you the proverb. And the work that you will do is that you will interpret that for us and tell us how or what you would think of that. Is that okay?
Okay, that's great.
All right.
We are in the Gabonese Republic. Gabon is in Central Africa, but people tend to think it is in West simply because where it's actually situated, you could actually assume it is in West Africa, but it isn't.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It belongs to an infamous geopolitical region called the Coup Belt. The name suggests and states a lot. Coup Belt, that's a region that is known for the prevalence of coups. Yes, one after another, after another, after another, after another. And for good reasons, because coups don't just happen because people like coups. They happen because people are unhappy.
Yes, absolutely.
And the ones who are able to do so are also unhappy, so they express their displeasure by asking whoever it was who was elected to sort of like move aside. That is, of course, best case scenario. The other scenarios which are not good. Now the proverb, simple, straightforward proverb for a Friday. Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends. Isn't it simple?
Yes, I like that one. Sometimes you're very tough ones. Bad friends prevent you having good ones.
Yes.
Yeah, because I guess they talk about, birds of a feather flocking together.
Yes.
And you do what is around you. You absorb what is around you. That's why we're told to keep our minds pure. So I guess if you have bad friends, the good ones will keep away because they don't want to be tainted with that. I think that's what it interprets to me, to be very careful about the company we keep.
Yes.
Because we may not be bad ourselves, but we'll be influenced, or others will think.
We have to ask this question. What makes a friend bad? How does somebody who's my friend suddenly become bad? What is it about them that is seen as bad? Because if I have them as a friend, I clearly don't see the bad.
Yeah.
But other people do.
Activities they're involved in, behavior they might have every now and then.
Yeah.
That could get you in trouble as well, perhaps.
Yeah. They may not even have your best interest, but you think they have your best interest.
They may not necessarily be a bad person, but they behave in some untoward manner.
You speak like someone who's had bad friends.
What?
Dennis hasn't said a word.
At least I'm speaking.
Dennis,
I'm a good listener.
I think he has got very many bad friends.
Not really, it's at times it's good to listen.
It's good to listen sometimes.
Well, I mean, we're getting into the conversation this morning, and I just have to say that, so my mother watches this show in Nigeria, and she's just sent me a message, and I said, you know what? Your guest looks like Onyeka Onwenu, who's an icon of Nigerian art and music, who passed last year, and you look exactly like her. So I just had to put that there. So later, Google her and you see some of the stuff that she did.
Are they called doppelgangers?
Exactly. You could be her
I'm going to Google her.
You need to Google her and listen to some of her music and see some of the things that she did. So that was just interesting that she did.
Say
and I looked at you. Well, she's heard you. So, Mum.
They actually do.
Mary says hi. You can see the picture. You actually look just like her.
Shit.
See, have you not seen her?
I agree. I even have a green dress. I have a picture like that. I'll send you.
You've seen yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mommy, Mary says hi. And getting into this conversation this morning, and you talked about we're just looking at your title, and one of the things that you said here is that you're certified GENOS emotional intelligence practitioner. And as we get into this conversation, I want to know, what's a GENOS emotional intelligence practitioner? What's GENOS?
Yeah, GENOS is an Australian company. It's probably not one of the biggest in the world when it comes to the area of emotional intelligence, but it's certainly one of the most effective. So they are practitioners, they do their research, they have their own model, and most of the models are about the same. When they talk about Coleman emotional intelligence, the US one, which is a huge one, they have received numerous awards throughout the world. So there's a franchise for Eastern Africa, in fact, even for West Africa, and that company is called Profiles International. They have the franchise to train people to become emotional intelligence practitioners, and we in turn help people understand what is emotional intelligence. It's one of the basic leadership skills that people don't even think about. When we hear the word emotional, we think it's to do, with emotions, nicey, sympathy. But actually, human beings are emotional creatures. We make decisions based on our feelings of our emotions. They determine how we behave. They determine how we feel, and out of that feeling, we then express a certain behavior, and that behavior leads to action. So understanding emotional intelligence, really, if I was to summarize it, to say how I show up determines how you do feel about me. And how you feel about me determines how much you're going to engage with me. And that determines everything about that relationship. So if I show up calm, I show up reasonable, I show up listening, I show up with empathy, I give you time, I get your perspective, you will react to me in a certain way. If I show up angry, always angry, impatient, what's wrong with you? I don't even want to listen. People back away, they say, okay, that you already know. They don't even engage with you. So we have people who are very good at emotional intelligence. They're very calm. They're able to be empathetic. They're authentic. They're able to control their emotions, to manage. They have reasoning. Even if they're feeling the emotion, they're able to put distance between the action and say, okay, you've annoyed me. I'm annoyed. It's a valid emotion. But then how do I react? Because how I react and how I show up is very important to the way you will now react to me. And yet I need you to work with me. I need to achieve certain goals through you. Because employees and staff, leaders work through people. They can't do the work. And those people will engage with you and deliver for you depending on how you treat them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
That's what it is. And that's what now becomes practice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So even giving the rider to this, that when we hear bullying, often, you think about school age children. And that has been front and center of how we attach the thought, the action around bullying. Children coming home telling their parents, well, so-and-so has done this, or those who've been notorious bullies. Or even if you hear about them in adulthood and somebody says, well, immediately, that guy used to be a bully, he bullied us, or this girl used to really bully us in school. But usually it's attached to that age group.
It is.
You know, and parents and teachers have to intervene or not intervene. People have had emotional trauma later on in their life as a result of what has happened at that age, right? But now here we are talking about bullying in the workplace. Please explain this phenomenon.
Actually, I would call it is a silent epidemic at the workplace because it's about power. It's about relationships. And it's a very silent epidemic. It's powerful, it's pervasive, and it's not even seen. I was bullied, but I didn't even know I was being bullied when I was CEO working with government. I had a very tough PS. I think you remember him, over 20 years. We were cat and dog, but we had to work together. And this is somebody who would call me at 6:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, 8:30 at night. So there are very many forms of bullying, and at the top, at executive level, at the board level, it happens in churches, it happens in ministries, it happens in governments. Let me give you an example. Global. You also saw what happened in the White House with President Zelensky.
Yes.
Was that bullying?
Definitely.
Yes.
Power. You can see somebody absolutely being bullied. So sometimes people don't, because it can be threats to your professional status. It can be, sarcasm. It can be people denying resources. You're not invited to meetings. You need some other things to do. You're put down in front of your juniors. You're excluded. You're overworked. I know people have clients who cry. The phone rings, they start shaking. Company secretary working for the board and the CEO. With a 5-year-old child, they're called at home at night, 10 o'clock at night. Early in the morning, where are those documents? What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. So they shake when the phone rings. You just start shaking because you know what you will get. Where do you complain to at those senior levels? When it's happening in the boardrooms, in ESCO, at senior levels. Yeah? What do you do about when people destabilizing you and sabotaging you? They shift the goalpost. You're supposed to deliver this. No, what happened? What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. So goalposts are shifted. There's psychological manipulation. So in the end, you start losing confidence. You start going, you know why people say it's like you've been rained on?
Yeah, you shrink.
You find people, you start dressing different because you know. And there's different ways. There are people who are screamers. There are people who actually scream. There are people who are critic. They find fault in everything, every day. Every day, this, And
why did you breathe left?
Why are you breathing? I remember when we were kids, we used to sleep with my sister when visitors came. And you have to share a bed, and then you're hit with the elbow. Stop breathing. Now, how do you stop breathing? Because you're breathing down the neck. Can you imagine in an office? You're a senior person. And they have the power because they handle your performance contract. This is about your job, it's about your family, it's about your car, it's about your house. You put a foot wrong, you've seen people being sacked. So what do? You keep quiet. You take it in. And people then get unproductive. People not creative.
When we talk about bullying at workplaces, you've mentioned it directly that it affects the productivity and the results at the end of the day. And one would assume that at any given workplace, there are ways to operate. There are policies, HR policies that are put in place. And you find that despite these policies being there, you find a senior still overruling all the policies in place and still looks down and goes down on the employee. So where do they go when they look at there is a HR policy, but still my senior is overriding all that? So where do you go to?
They just get PTSD, trauma. There's even cases of heart attacks, and most times people leave. They become non-performers because at that senior executive level, HR will not help you. They'll not go and talk to the CEO. Who tells the CEO is a bully? Or the chairman of the board? Or the directors? Or the head of banking? Or the head? So people tend to swallow it. And you don't want to admit you're being bullied at the level you are. How do you come and say you're bullying me? You so senior, Mary, look at you, How can you tell us you're being bullied? So you try and avoid those situations.
Should you though?
You can challenge and face it if you have the courage, but it's very difficult if you're alone. And the idea is, how do you change that culture? There are companies with really good values and cultures, and they practice it, and they call out that behavior from the top. But when it's coming from the top, it's very hard to be alone to challenge. Because what happens with a bully, other people are witnessing the bullying. They're also traumatized by the stay away because they're afraid for their job. Sometimes there's even one who's watching, who's a silent watcher, but doesn't say anything because they don't want to put themselves at risk. Sometimes it becomes even a group thing. They laugh when he cracks a joke. Today you fired as a style, and look at that hair. And they're demeaning you in front of others. Because even people, there's a control freak, people who micromanage you. Has any of you worked in a place where you were micromanaged?
Yes.
Until you're just wanting to go crazy, you're being told even how to rule it. Yeah. There are people who sabotage you, they set you up for failure. They shift the goalposts. Or some who are narcissists, they take credit for success, they blame others for the failure. What are you going to do? And usually these people are very good at manipulating how people see them. There are many countries where they've actually legislated and come up with acceptable codes of conduct. Kenya hasn't. It's actually something that's being worked on because it's not in the labor law, it's not in the harassment. You're talking about sexual harassment, you're talking about, diversity. But this habit, why would somebody start texting you at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock and expect you to reply the email?
And don't we see such, and that's not the first time that we hear about things like that, somebody, you can wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and see a flurry of messages that have come in before and somebody's demanding an answer. Or somebody asks that I've sent you an email 3 minutes ago and you've not responded to me, or it's after hours you get something like that. Many would argue that it's the person who is giving you the pressure is also feeling the pressure. They get that pressure, and then that is what comes down to you. And that what may appear to be somebody bullying you, they normally say it's not personal. It's not. It's not. I don't hate you. I don't know you from Adam. It's work, and it needs to be done, and we're going to do the work and go. How do you separate then, Mary, between work pressure and what needs to happen, and somebody actually taking things out on you and attacking your persona?
I think one of the things we teach in emotional intelligence is being able to create boundaries and being able, the question you're asking then is to be self-assertive, but in a polite but respectful way, but genuinely saying that I'm sorry, like I'm working with my kids doing homework, I will come back to you in the morning when I'm available. And you're very firm about it. Most of the time we are scared. What will happen to me if I say that? Because even I stopped taking those early morning calls at 6:30 in the morning. Or 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, you're calling me to talk for half an hour. So I'd say, I don't pick the phone. When I'm saying, why didn't you pick up my phone? I say, I was with my husband, I was cooking. Or I was with the children. Of course I'm not. But it's to try and get through to your mind. Why are you coming to me on my private time? The US legislated about people calling you, giving you work coming after 5. You can actually sue them. They tried to pass it through Parliament here. Yes, they did. And then there was a lot of things. What about shift workers, airport workers? So the whole thing went round and round, and it's still somewhere in some stage. But people had brought a law to be able to say, don't call people. It's I've only contracted you for 8 hours. It's a buy and sell relationship. You have 8 hours, 12 hours. After that, I'm not a slave. You can't expect to send emails at 10 and I reply. So being able to set those boundaries and say, I hear you, I see that you need that, but I'm sorry, I will come back. Or you put automatic. People are actually deleting emails from their phones, their work emails. Don't carry your laptop home, don't open it, and every day you set up a thing saying, I'm out of office until tomorrow morning, if I will look at your item in the morning. But actually being able to talk to the person direct and say, I'm sorry, it's my private time, I will attend that first thing in the morning. Hopefully if there's somebody who is in a leadership mode who understands, you say, oops, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. And then they will push the pressure back. Because if you don't push and you always accept, you'll be pressurized, you'll be traumatized, you'll be stressed throughout. And it's not good for you to be always in a stressful situation. You are not productive.
But what is it that singles out individuals who have a predisposition to bullying? What is their psychological makeup? What is this thing that they have that other people don't have? Because Bullies are in a minority. It's not as though they form the bulk of the people we come across. Because if they were the bulk, then bullying would be normalized. Everybody would be a bully in one way or the other, but that's not the case.
I think it's more prevalent than we know, but there is a certain, and I'm happy that you've asked that, because I was looking at it, and yesterday actually I saw there's something called the successful psychopath problem. In 2005, some British psychologists, Belinda Board and Katrina Fritzon, they studied high-level executives and found that they had certain personality disorders, 3 out of 8, that were more common in them than in criminal psychiatric patients. True fact.
No, that has been said.
That has been said. Okay,
not,
I didn't.
Not just psychopathic. Some have been said with sociopathic.
Sociopath, yes.
That they have a certain leaning and tendency that gives them the ability to focus on things, and they are distracted and they exclude everything else.
Yes.
And one of the things that they lack is empathy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So there are people who rise to the very top because of that very trait.
Trait of focus, intent. They don't care about any other feelings.
They do not.
They have a very superficial charm, manipulation, and insincerity.
Yes.
Narcissistics of obviously as well. They have this exploitation of
very, very self-centered.
And some of them are obsessive personalities who are perfectionists, control, rigidity. Those type of people actually succeed. If they're not criminal, some of them will go towards criminal, they succeed and rise up very, very quickly.
They actually succeed a great deal in corporate setups.
Yes.
Where performance is considered to be the key beyond anything else.
Thank you.
So long as you are doing good by the organization and you're making them money, these are the things that you do nobody really cares about.
Yes.
So then essentially we're saying that that position then is perfect feeding ground for them to treat anybody badly.
Oh, yes.
You got it. You got it. In fact, what you say about performance, and that's why there's been a more evolved thinking in the workplace that, getting results is not everything. Because these people are not happy. Look at what happened in Boeing. You've seen that Netflix movie, The Downfall.
Yes.
And that came from people not feeling psychologically safe to say what was going on. Everybody knew what was going on. The FAA knew what was going on. The quality people, the engineers, but you talk, boop, you're out. You try whistleblow, what happened to them? So there's this culture of fear that everybody knows what's going on, but you say, me, my children, my house, my school fees. So what happens, it perpetuates itself, and superficially, the company looks like it's doing well. But over time, there's no creativity, there's no innovation, because innovation, creativity lies at the highest level of psychological safety, where you can challenge people and say, why do you do it that way? No, let's try it another way. But you find that some companies, nobody challenges the way things are done. They say, good, yes, sir, we agree. So over time, these people can be so successful, get the highest bonus, and then leave. And they continue being, separated, and everybody else, the company is not moving over a longer time. So that's why now companies are working at building a culture. And they're saying, what are our cultures? Respect. How we talk to people, and they take conscious effort and teach their leaders about emotional intelligence, about having empathy, about being vulnerable, because you want to inspire people. Some companies are getting better at it, but still is very old school, because the reward of the performance system is individual based as opposed to team based.
So do you need a host for this behavior? And when I say host, I don't mean somebody who's I mean kind of like what the mosquito does with the human. Is this person born with this behavior, or is it learned along the way? Do you need a host situation whereby this is results driven, it is, performance oriented, it's being tracked, and this person with their tendencies has found, again, the perfect breeding ground for this behavior to be perpetuated? So do you need that in order or is this person just naturally a nasty piece of work?
I think it's a bit of both. There are people who are naturally like that. And also, if you don't have good, clear policies and statements and a strong HR and a strong system that censors that from the very top, if the top is encouraging it or doesn't seem to do anything about it, and the workplace becomes so competitive for results that you're stepping on each other and hitting elbows because it's all towards grandiose, the top man, the top CEO, and you start praising him, it will continue.
There's also the element that people who exhibit these traits have. It's a need to compensate.
Yeah, it will be copied.
Because you see two things here. One, if I'm inadequate in one way, as a human being, I'll want to compensate for my inadequacy. I know this because I went to a secondary school where bullying was normal. It was part and parcel of the culture.
Yeah. Never censored.
So one got to understand what was accepted bullying. Some people call it hazing. And then there are people who really went overboard.
Yes.
And I know, as I speak now, there are people who have not, God knows how long have never forgiven the people who bullied them. Never.
Yeah.
In fact, when you speak about those people,
the emotions.
It's like it happened 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Some, you fear what would happen if they'd met that person in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay? It means they were traumatized into adulthood, and people who are my age are grandparents. So it is that bad. It lasts. But the question has to be asked, what is it that drives an individual to cause so much harm to other people?
To another.
What damage have you gone through? I mean, what is it that you have in your life that is unresolved?
And would you find that such an individual later on in life most probably had those tendencies when they were younger?
Yeah, trauma. Trauma is learned, and then you go and practice it on somebody else.
You see, the thing about socializing,
and nobody teaches you better.
What it does, it rubs off some of these sharp edges from you. Education does that for you, because you intermingle and meet with them. A workplace is supposed
and
to
you're
do
censored where you go.
You will be, because you meet other people. Now, social media and the internet has been blamed on this account, that it enables an individual to find like-minded individuals, so they don't have to socialize with anybody else. They just look for people who think like them, who have a worldview of the same. So the check and balance that ordinarily mixing with other people who would provide is then eliminated.
Yeah.
As well as we talk about it, what is the factor that enables this to continue is what I'm looking at, in the sense that there's a damaged parent who has treated their children in a way that is considered to be bullying from that point. The kid picks that up, goes to school, and repeats what they've learned from home, and that as well is encouraged by teachers who are in one. Because I remember back in high school, I was slapped by a fellow student because they were a prefect, and I called them out. I went home, I came back with a cop. P3, it works.
Wow.
And I was considered to be a student who's going against.
Yes, the rebel. You're not conforming.
The school. The school rules. So if you look at these individuals, they're damaged, and then they're again given powers at school level, and they go forward to even become a KDF officer, a damaged student, all the way to being an officer.
Consider the role that culture plays in this. Look at the way certain cultures treat women.
Yes.
A young child is taught certain things. As far as they're concerned, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. It's that interaction later on in life that introduces them to a different way of looking at the same thing. There are people who disregard other human beings. For instance, look, forget the power dynamics between men and women. Even the power dynamics between communities. There are communities who think they're better than other people.
Yes. True. And they will bully them.
They will disregard. Now you see, so they come to a workplace. Remember, we're talking about bullying. It's not just physical.
No.
Verbal. Emotionally. So you find that this person goes about doing this until the day they are challenged or they understand that this is not acceptable. They will continue.
And that's when they will turn around and look at it. Let's take a break at this point and take a look at what's happening with weather and traffic. Mary Mukindia, executive coach and speaker. We're talking about bullying in the workplace and ethical practices this morning. Quite something, because there's a load of comments and questions from folks this morning who have something to say about that. And so we'll sample some of those when we come back and also continue into this conversation. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. It's 26 minutes to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice FM. Spice up your life.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
It's busy in the city this morning, and there is quite some traffic coming off of the Eastern Bypass, touching with what's coming off of Outer Ring, in and outbound traffic, some coming towards Mombasa Road, and the rest of it going towards Outer Ring, rather the thicker superhighway this morning. And then coming in off of that Allsops Junction, going through towards Survey, bumper to bumper. And on Gong Road today, we're seeing some of that, and also coming off of Limuru Road, coming in from Muthaiga and United Nations Avenue. So that'll do that in that area. And as you come off of Magadi Road, there's quite some traffic coming in all the way from Ongata out towards Park Place and then on to Langata Road. So that to watch out for. Also traffic coming in from the Galleria Mall. So that's about the size of it this morning. Not too much beyond that at this point, but we are just clicking into traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we come out of it, and we'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
23 minutes to 8 o'clock, and in the hot seat this morning is Mary Mukindia, and we're talking about bullying in the workplace and ethical practices. So like I said, quite a number, and one of the questions that we've seen coming in this morning, even as we continue in this conversation, is what about bullying from your peers? That people treat you the way that you allow them to. If you stand up to somebody, the likelihood of them coming at you decreases. But if you take on a mouseish behavior, and somebody who may have nothing over you but sees your mouseish behavior is likely to bully you more. And this is more in the workplace as adults. How and why?
Absolutely. I think there's some basic behaviors we have as human beings. We like to be dominant. They're the experts, the ones who are saying the psychopaths, psychopaths and narcissists. As a practice as human beings, I always think I'm better than everybody else. I can do this. So if allowed, anarchy can come if there are no rules, systems, structures. And therefore, with bullies, but we don't know this until we know better. If they're bigger than you, they have more power than you, or they can laugh at you and you don't have a quick response, you tend to withdraw into yourself, which gives them more power. But actually, as you were saying, City, most bullies have something that happened to them. They have some inadequacy in them. When you stand up to them and you face them, many times they will back away and you're not the one to be bullied. And they seem to find the person who has something, in them that is bullied, and then everybody descends with that person. So it is true, you do need to stand up, but where do we get the courage sometimes? Maybe it's a shouting match. You're not a red personality who's loud, you're a quieter person. You think of what to do afterwards. How do you handle that? And that's why it's really important for institutions to have policies, to have cultures, to have the signal from the top, to train leaders on what is real leadership. It's not command and control, because it's the authoritarian type of leadership that people think that is what true leadership is. It's about you harnessing, leading teams. You're just a leader, you're inspiring you, they do the work. And what is acceptable behavior, what is not, and censoring them. And having reporting systems that are actually taken seriously. But if there's an absence of that and it's condoned from the top or at the expense of performance, then people are afraid and they'll just keep quiet, withdraw, and then you see people leaving.
But doesn't that often happen though, Mary, that in as much as somebody may bully you as an individual, the likelihood of others who are at par with them on the same level, because we're still in the workplace here, that are on the same level as them or even higher, are also likely to hear what they say. So even if you bring, and this is the fear of a lot of folks, that even if you bring an issue like that forward, the likelihood of you being believed or something being done in your favor is reduced, because that attitude that bully takes towards you is also the same attitude that they take toward anybody else who might intervene in a situation. So how do you handle that?
And as well,
honestly, I don't have all the answers. I'm sorry. Absolutely.
We can discuss it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Dennis, you want to say something?
No, looking at a situation where there is bullying, say, in the leadership structure from top all the way. Your immediate boss, say, is a bully. Their boss is a bully and goes all the way
to the board.
Where do you go to? Because most of the time you find you get to keep quiet. Someone else, you find high turnover is high.
That's a kind of some really insecure people.
City, you know a bank. You know but a bank. Happens. And even if we don't talk about it, it happens all the time. There's a bank and it starts from the...
and you find others record it. You record it. But where do you take that information? Because as you say, Kenya does not have a policy that addresses this. Do I die with my problems? Do I walk away from work? How do I deal with my bills that I need to pay?
You have a lot of stress.
Dennis, let me tell you something.
Yes, it is.
Why I mentioned culture is because a lot of people derive this need to dominate others in the crudest way possible. Part of it is cultural. Part of it is your own inadequacies. Some of it are real. They've been imposed upon you. Some of them are things that you've simply picked up along the way because of the ambitions you have, the things you want to do, the heights you want to reach. Now, the reason why in a workplace it is difficult to deal with is, I think Mary mentioned very clearly, people want to keep their jobs. And they do not want to challenge any authority figure for fear that they would lose their jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay? But you see, challenging an authority figure doesn't have to be confrontational, doesn't have to be ugly.
Yeah.
You can find a way in which you can actually have a conversation.
Without it being a shouting ugly
No,
match.
it doesn't have to be. And that person, with time, may even have an opportunity to listen. I'm saying this because it is not complicated to understand how bullies grow to be even bigger bullies. It's because they are allowed to flourish.
Yes.
There's no challenge. And challenge doesn't again have to be confrontational and ugly. It can just be by raising a question and raising it again. That is a challenge. Why am I saying this? We take examples from the top. When you have a leadership in a country that appears to be dictatorial, you do not know just how the consequences will be very far-reaching.
Yeah.
People take the cue, and everybody wants to fit into that. So anybody who's in a leadership position, no matter how low down that particular food chain, they expect to speak and people obey. Now, those are tendencies, but those tendencies can be challenged. The reason why you talk of a democracy is because it was long understood that if you have power that is unchecked, what the outcome will be harmful. Now, that has to be in the workplace. Because arguably, you all have the same goal, but arguably, the process that you want to follow may not be the same. Any setup where people are allowed to flourish and opinions are allowed to flow, it is not difficult to tell how that place...
It's not.
Yeah. You will see.
Yeah, you see it immediately. And there are places, I mean, look at governments also. They're the biggest workplaces.
Yes.
Whether we're talking about the Kenyan one, you're talking about the American one, and we are all seeing in front of the world what is happening. There are places I know and you know. People say there's a toxic work culture.
Work environment,
Work environment. And you look at the people, those are the behaviors. That's why I tell clients, please do your due diligence. When you're looking for a job, it's both ways. They're doing due diligence on you, do the same on theirs. Let me just explain. There's 5, the typology of workplace bullying is 5 behaviors. And there's something called the Workplace Bullying Institute. They've actually come up with the 25 most common workplace bullying tactics.
For a moment, Mary, I thought that if you want to become a bully,
there's a school you can go to.
There's a school you go to.
How to become a fantastic bully.
They do a lot of research. They do a lot of research. Yes. They have research, particularly the health sector in UK. They have research in Finland. But and I would urge people just to Google and find out those tactics, because I found I'd been bullied and I didn't realize. But the topology of 5 workplace bullying behaviors. 1, threat to your professional status, which is, belittling your opinions. There's public professional humiliation, accusations regarding lack of effort, intimidating use of discipline or competency procedures. Then there's another one, threats to your personal standing. where people undermine your personal integrity. There's a very, destructive innuendo and sarcasm. They make inappropriate jokes, about the target. Persistent teasing, name calling. And those kind of people don't understand. They make you very uncomfortable. Why are you referring to me or my face or my hair or my weight or my, when are you getting married? Those little innuendos and jokes, intimidation.
That dark boy.
That who is black like the sun, those are personal standing and making jokes in front of clients and others. Then there's isolation, where people prevent you access to opportunities, physical or social. Have you ever had a job and you need budget and you're not being given budget? And they know you need budget and they're withdrawing the budget, and they do that even in governments and certain ministries. I know. They withhold even information from you, and that is deliberate, keeping you out of the loop. Meetings are called, you're not being called into the meeting, and you're saying, I thought you're talking about my area.
And then somebody actually asks, why didn't you attend the meeting? And you ask, which meeting?
Which meeting? Deliberate. That's isolation. Then there's overwork. That undue pressure, impossible deadlines, unnecessary destabilization, which a lot of people do. And then the last one, the fifth one, is destabilization. I know I suffered from isolation from the PS. I used to be told, you're friends with Treasury, you go to Treasury. I did not get budget for 2 years. I had to go direct. And I remember that year we were given, me and Kenya Railways, direct from Treasury, when I had to go and see Esther Koimet and make the case. And then later they were saying, why don't you be like Mary? You see, she went to Treasury and she got her own budget. Because I was given direct through the Exchequer, which has never happened. And the other one was destabilization, where they include failure to acknowledge your good work, allocation of meaningless tasks, removal of responsibilities. People are sent on special assignment. You have an office and a desk is clean. There's nothing happening there.
Special assignment.
There is
at the end of the hall.
So there is a question that has been asked there by Nixon Hamisi, who is saying, I was bullied in primary school and high school due to my disability. I went through trauma and it lowered my self-esteem up to now. How can I come out of this situation?
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that you were bullied, and it takes a very long. I would say I know it's not popular and I haven't gone. I'm afraid that when I go there, I'll open and cry mountains of rivers.
Which is okay.
But my children are really good, and the younger people are so open. I think therapy or getting a coach, somebody to talk with. I speak a lot with clients, and you realize that everything comes, as you were saying, those deep emotions, they blind you, the mindset that you have. So speaking with people, trying to heal, because you do need to confront it and see what it was about and be able to face it. Definitely, those are some of the things that perhaps somebody could think of, but I'm not an expert when it comes to that. But it is the difficult thing.
But coping, how do you cope? Because this is one of the things that, just from the comments, we're looking at so many of them this morning, and just you either are one or know of one who's been in that position. But the truth of the matter is, Mary, that you need the job.
Yeah.
Look at the times in which we are in today, and somebody who's going to tell you, oh, stop it, buck up. Somebody's treating you badly in the office. Are you going to quit your job because somebody called you a name? So those are the real decisions that you have to deal with. And that, how do you deal with that when you're dealing with an economic situation on one hand, and you're dealing with this clear psychological problem, and in many cases physical problem as well? Because imagine the trauma of having to wake up every single day to go to a job where you know somebody is going to treat you in a certain way.
By the way,
every day.
When you're getting close to the office, you get water in your stomach. I used to sit, as you went towards the last year, I used to sit 5 minutes in the car to decide what I want to get up and go. Honestly, I know it. I think what City was saying, it was you, Dennis, who said, really approaching that person and having a discussion. But if that doesn't work, your HR hasn't worked, obviously, is getting together with your peers and saying, can we go to the boss's boss? And say we are having issues, we are not able to work, and state them clearly, having first talked to the person bullying you.
But Mary, for someone to do that,
those need courage. That courage of leadership is hard.
Courage, and you need to have a very healthy self-esteem.
Yes.
You see, one of the things that bullying does, it undermines your self-esteem completely. So it's very easy for you to just sort of move like a wind vane.
You even dress different. You know how you
everything about you actually stop caring about yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So and it can tell. But
Good friends help. Good friends help.
No, good friends.
They don't.
They actually do, Mary. I agree
They
with
help.
you.
Good
I was going
friends.
to say-
Somebody to see another perspective.
I was going to say that they're not many. That's a problem.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And a good friend will say, look, this one, there's a way in which we can do this. Consider for a single second, an HR that makes people understand that there's an avenue for complaint and you can go to them.
Yes.
That's how it starts.
Yes.
If you have a problem, come. I have been in situations where I've been asked to help mediate when somebody has actually complained about another colleague because they felt that person...
It's too much.
Yes, I know. And I'm talking about Standard Group.
It happens everywhere.
So it means HR took the step and took whatever complaint that was brought forth seriously, and they said, look, this one we need to address. And the matter was addressed.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
But there's another situation where I had an HR of a company, big corporate company, call me and say, please talk to this lady. She's traumatized. Because HR couldn't help, because it was happening at that senior level. And literally she needed somebody to talk with. Then she understood actually she's being traumatized. She's being abused. This was actually abuse. But she had to sit herself through weeks of talking, coaching. And she said, actually, why am I taking this? I'm actually being abused. I think I need to go see a therapist. And with time, she actually saw a therapist. And after a long while, she resigned. She didn't need it because it was ridiculous.
Actually, what she did was she took control of her life.
She took control. Yes.
City. In such situations, especially at workplaces, there is always a word that bosses really do not like. Why?
And how do
you give an order? Someone asks why. Why should I do it?
Yes.
You shouldn't ask questions. Why shouldn't I ask questions? It is a word that even if you do your research, it is one word that those in authority don't know how to deal with.
They don't.
But Dennis,
Yes.
tell me, why do you think they do not know how to deal with it?
Because they've never thought that someone would stand and question.
Do you know that even when you're a full-grown adult, that you still have time to grow up?
Yes. Yes.
You
Growing
still have time to mature.
Is a constant.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Emotionally.
When you grow up emotionally, you are able to take on views that you don't like. And you don't personalize it. You just someone has told you something about yourself which you haven't looked at in the same way.
Yes.
But you talk about people who personalize things. You're questioning them.
Yes, exactly.
You're questioning what they've told you.
Yes. And I think it's also their sense of leadership comes from the old school that me as a leader, I need to know everything. No, my job is for you to work. I used to say, I don't work. Please, I have no work called me. It is you guys to work. I facilitate. What do you need? Training, tools, budget. What are your ideas? You're the experts in your job. I did that job many years ago. I do not have that technical expertise. But there's this, and I don't know why we're not moving fast enough, that we think the leader should know everything and tell us what to do.
It's a good thing you've asked that question. Let me ask you, why do you think people are quick and they find it easy to abrogate their own authority to somebody else? And why do you think people do that?
Yes, now their own insecurity.
We don't like to take ownership and accountability.
If something goes wrong, you don't want to be the one to
look at the Yes. If you look at the symptom of what we have, look at how we as Kenyans are quick to blame. There's a problem.
It's the police.
Your mind starts looking for who do we blame for this problem. Yes. And so you never see yourself like the criticism we keep talking of here of, say, the presidency. And say, but
what are we doing?
The citizens don't want to understand. They refuse to look at it. They said, no, it is not us. The president. And I said, no, you do have a role.
You get the president you deserve.
Yes.
Yeah. As I think about these things, we're talking about, very clear-cut issues at the workplace. But then look at how this conversation then now touches on other aspects.
Yes.
And then we deal with so many issues all the time, whereby we ask, what's the problem? Because we've asked questions. Where's our value system? Where did the rain start beating us? Where did this and this happen? Because it will solve a problem in the family, it will solve a problem in school, it'll solve a problem at the workplace, it'll solve a problem in organizations, it'll solve a problem in governments, it'll solve a problem in the world.
Honestly, absolutely.
Is this not where we should be going? Because we're asking, where is the problem? And I see this, the persona, the character, how we deal with issues, how we accept or reject certain things. isn't that really the bane of what we are looking towards?
The respect,
world problems.
Yeah, the respect that everybody has an opinion. I do not necessarily have to be right. What you're saying, what's my perspective? And I respect you and say, okay, yeah, we could try that. That's your opinion. That's your experience. That respect for each other to know we are actually equal. Just because you have this title called this, when we walk out of that door, we are exactly the same. Before God.
You know, the issue of
that's true, values.
The issue of inadequacies is something that in an African Kenyan setting is almost unacceptable in leadership. A leader, by their very existence, cannot be inadequate.
Yeah.
Yes. And yet they're human beings. And there's no human being who is not inadequate. You see? So when you look at the influence, again, from the top and the leadership in any setup, okay, you cannot run away from the responsibility that you as an individual have. You have a responsibility. And in a workplace, the first responsibility is to yourself. Now, again, when you abrogate that responsibility for yourself and somehow someone else is supposed to take care of it, they have themselves to take care of. How well do you think they're going to take care of your interest? When I look at, I was thinking as we're talking, I was thinking of people I went with to school, some of who were bullies. Some even rose to very high positions in the government. Whenever people talk, it's as though we are still in school.
It affected them and shaped them.
It's until you say, guys, we
left.
We're a little ancient now.
60 years ago.
Yes, so these things, can we just...
No.
If I look at the depth of that problem, it tells me that this is a discussion that must be had in even greater depth than it has been.
Absolutely. And you know why, City? You remember what Maya Angelou says, and we talk about emotional intelligence. In emotional intelligence, people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Because we're emotional creatures. Somebody told you, you'll never get married. All of you, you're very ugly. You will remember that auntie for the next 40 years.
Oh my God.
Who told you?
Yes, I went to her funeral. Sure, and that's the effect that it has on you.
Yes.
But then this, and that's why I think conversations like this are extremely important. We don't even realize the import of it because you look and say, okay, for goodness sake, SpiceFM, you're talking about bullying this morning for what? But look at what it has elicited this morning, and look at what we're hearing, and look at what people are saying. This affects everything else that you do. Who you're connected with, who you speak to, who you listen to, how you operate, what you do,
how you relate
to other people.
How you relate.
And we're asking what the problems of the world are, and this is where it starts, isn't it?
And look at what good leadership, because that Kenyan one is never good leader. Look at people like Mandela. He didn't say I knew everything, or Obama.
No.
You know, that ability to say, let me listen to this person who have something absolutely fully agree.
You know, you're referring to evolved human beings. Sorry.
You just had to,
but it's evolvement. What are you saying? That, values, think about it, be deep. Then you evolve. You're moving beyond thinking it's just about you and my view and my leadership.
I think it's a question of having the ability to just sit down and talk and understanding that we all don't know everything. That junior could have the solutions to the problems that you see.
Most of the time they do, by the way.
And that would only happen if we listen.
And really listen, actively listen. Most of us listen to talk.
You know, they say, those who study psychology, that the key thing here is to listen to what is not being said.
Absolutely. There's a lot that's
unspoken.
I mean, I think this is the first of many that should happen. And very glad that we're able to start off with that this morning and even end the week with that. Executive Coach Mary Mukindia has been with us this morning and opening our eyes to some conversations that need to happen, no matter how uncomfortable they are. But really, it's at the very base of some of the things that we look for in terms of answers, whether it's individuals or governments. So thank you for being here this morning. Really great to have had you here. And thank you for joining us to do that this morning. Those are the conversations that we have in the Situation Room on Kenya's biggest conversation every weekday. And we've rounded off the first hour of that conversation and getting into the next. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Ellen Tirop. 13 people have died on the spot following a grisly road accident at Muga, Molo along Eldoret-Nakuru Highway. Police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga says the driver of the trailer rammed into a shuttle matatu from behind, apparently losing control in the 3 a.m. accident. Mushiri adds that all the fatalities were from the matatu were 8 men, 4 women and a child that died. Just days after ODM Raila Odinga said he wasn't sure if former Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i was planning to run for president, a group of leaders from Nyamira County has come out in support of Matiang'i. The leaders, led by politician Gabriel Amenya, urged Raila to back Matiang'i, highlighting that the community has long supported his political journey. This comes as Matiang'i is yet to publicly announce his intentions for the 2027 presidential race.
Hakuna mtu hatujaunga mkono na hatuna vitina na mtu yoyote. Wakati tunasema tupatie mkono pia sisi hatujakosea mtu. Sisi ni kuomba, tunaomba. Na kwa wale watu wengine wanasema sisi tumekosea ama pale, hatujawahi kukosea hata huyu mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga.
Additionally, the leaders praised Dr. Fred Matiang'i for his integrity and dedication during his tenure in various government ministries. Elder Eric Atinga emphasized that Matiang'i's exemplary services proves that he deserves the support to run for president, calling the community to back him in the 2027 elections.
Wakati Matiang'i alikuwa, vitu vilikuwa vinabadilika kabisa. You can see even schools and other things. Samani wakati wengine tulikuwa tunakaa na mzee Raila, tumesaidia yeye. Sisi wakati huu tunaona ni furaha tuingishe kijana wetu Frederick Matiang'i.
Families of victims from Shakahola Forest massacre in Kilifi County will face further delays in identifying their loved ones, as the state laboratory officer says lack of funds for DNA test on the exhumed bodies. The setback has dampened hopes of uncovering the full truth behind the massacre. Dr. Joseph Kimani, Director General of the Forensic Unit, explained that DNA testing on decomposed bodies is expensive and requires advanced chemicals. Despite the families offering samples, there are challenges with compatibility and shortage of facilities to process them.
The balance is still work in progress because most of the samples, as you may be aware, they were in very bad shape. Some of them have decomposed. They were difficult in us producing a good profile DNA. So in very bad shape.
These bodies were buried in soil. There is abundance of humic acid, and again, because of the decomposition processes, that DNA is highly degraded.
Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna is among several African political leaders denied entry into Angola yesterday, despite being invited by the country's main opposition party, UNITA. The group, including Tanzania's opposition figure Tundu Lissu, had travelled to Luanda for a 2-day meeting, but was blocked by Angolan immigration authorities upon arrival. Sifuna expressed disappointment, saying that UNITA President Adalberto Costa invited them to Angola. The delegation also included leaders from Botswana, Lesotho, South Africa and several other countries. The group had submitted visa requests ahead of the trip, but Angolan government has not yet explained the decision. The South African Development Community has officially ended the mandate of the SADC mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo and ordered phased troop withdrawal from the eastern DRC. The decision was made during a virtual summit chaired by Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa. SADC leaders condemned the escalating violence in the region, particularly the capture of Goma and Bukavu by armed troops, and called for urgent humanitarian aid. Despite recognizing the dedication of some DRC troops, the summit stressed the need for a new approach to resolving the conflict. That's the Newswire. I'm Eileen Tirop.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
Taking a look at traffic, what's happening in the city this morning. A little bit of movement.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are
bypass when it's coming towards North Airport Road. Some of that coming off of Outer Ring this morning, so that's busy. Also looking at some movement that is coming off of the Thika Superhighway right around Survey, and we've seen some traffic coming in from the Allsops Junction, but all manageable. So Friday is behaving, isn't it? And on Kiambu Road, there's some traffic. We were going in westerly direction, Limuru Road traffic, also then seeing traffic coming off of Wayaki Way, and some of that coming in from Spring Valley, and that is in from Lower Kabete, so that's busy. Ngong Road also is starting to pile up just now, and we've seen some traffic coming in from Magadi Road, well beyond that Ongata Rongai, and it's going to swing round to Ngong Road on the other side and then join into the city there. Keeping an eye on all of this as we get through the morning, let's talk it through. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 8 minutes after 8 o'clock into the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this morning. Where are you tuned in? If you're on our live streams, you're on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And also, if you're on TV, you're on KTN and on radio around the country. I'll give it to you at 94.4 in Nairobi and many different connections around the country. Malindi, Mombasa, Kisumu, looking in the western part of the country as well, and growing day on day. Kenya's biggest conversation takes a bit of an energy route at this hour, and we will be looking at some of those conversations in terms of what it's actually going to take to light up Kenya, and to light up Kenya, or to power up Kenya essentially, and some of the work that is being done in that particular respect. Okay, so that conversation takes on this morning with an engineer in the hot seat, and that is engineer Fred Ishuga, and he's the general manager at the Renewable Energy Research and Development, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, otherwise known as REREC, and he joins us this morning in the hot seat. Engineer Ishuga, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's good that you're in the hot seat this morning, because essentially we're talking about powering up the country and taking electricity to the houses and doorsteps essentially of everybody in Kenya. It's been one of the things that has been said by His Excellency the President very many times, and even before that they said, you know what, last mile connectivity when it comes to electricity and getting every home in Kenya powered up. So it's quite something, and so we welcome you to have that conversation with us today. And even as we do, CT is going to share a proverb with you, And let's see how you can make that connection between the proverb and your interpretation of it. Okay.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Gabonese Republic. The Republic of Gabon, as it is called, a Central African country, really, really, really wealthy. My country was ruled for 56 years by one family. Marbongo lived with his son Ali Bongo. Then the military decided it's about time they had a change of guard, and they did have a change of guard. Anyway, mineral rich in oil. This is a tragedy of the continent, where you find a wealthy country of that nature. Those who are wealthy beyond compare, and those who are poor are dirt poor. Okay, the final proverb for the week from the country of Gabon. Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends.
Yeah, so should I interpret the proverb?
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I think I agree with the proverb, and this actually is in line with also what is in some religious scripts, that when you walk with the wicked, then of course your ways also are wicked, and in line with that also they say, show me your friends, then I'll be able to tell who you are.
Indeed.
So I think it's very, very much in line with the proverb from Gabon.
Okay. Fantastic. No?
It is super.
Thank you very much.
Simple and to the point, and it's very true.
Thank you, please.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't resist. Sorry, Dennis. All right. So essentially, REREC and the work that REREC does in terms of electrification. Before we start looking into what exactly is happening in the country, just give us an overview of REREC's work and what its job is to ensure essentially that you light up Kenya in a good way, of course.
Yeah, great. Thank you. REREC is Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. That's its a long name. And is a government agency, 100% supported by government. So we are anchored under the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. So REREC has been established under the Energy Act, Section 43, which gives it two major mandates. One is rural electrification, to ensure that our rural areas have access, not just access to clean electricity. Then we have another broader mandate, which the Act also gives, and this is on promotion and development of renewable energy. Now renewable energy aspect covers beyond electricity. We look at other aspects like clean cooking, emerging technologies like green hydrogen, among others. So as a corporation, we are majorly working within those space to ensure that our communities are able to especially in rural areas, are able to have access to electricity. Currently, of course, we have played a very major part from around 2014 to this time. Electrification rates were very low before, about around 25%. Right now, as a country, we are boosting communities having access to electricity to a tune of 75%, which is really, really good, with urban having about 90%, rural areas on an average having around 68%. But that does not mean that the communities in rural areas have access, especially those that are far from the grid. So one of the tune that we are taking around this is to embrace renewable energy, especially in off-grid areas. I want to put you into imagination of counties that are quite far from the main grid. The main grid is the main highway to pass electricity. Look at a county like Turkana, a county like Mandera, a county like in Lamu, Garissa. Those very, very rural and sparse communities, they are not able to have access through the main highway. That's the grid, and therefore we are taking advantage of renewable energy resources to ensure that those communities are powered. So that is actually what REREC does in front of electrification, but we also do other programs, ensuring that our kitchens are clean. Of course, women, they've been suffering with smoke. Somebody told me the other day that when my mother is serving me with food, she serves me crying. Then I wonder what is the problem.
One must ask why your mother is still serving you food as a grown person, but okay.
So
we don't have to go there, but okay.
When you've gone to visit her.
She's gone. When you've gone to visit.
Of course.
Right. Okay.
It is her home.
Okay.
You are the guest.
Okay.
Hey.
Karibu nyumbani.
Okay.
So, and actually, this speaks to the fact that they're using polluted fuels, especially traditional biomass, and we are working as REREC very closely with the communities, sensitizing them to embrace new technology, so that the kitchens also remains clean. People's health are preserved. We don't predispose them
to any kind of conditions. So let's look at some of the numbers before we even now start getting into some of the nitty-gritty. So when you talk about electrification across board, so you did give them 68% in rural communities, 90% in urban, and if you're looking at a combination of the two, you're looking about 75%. The goal is to reach 100% by 2030. It's just 5 years away. The question is that, do you think, and when we say electrification, essentially it's the powering up the cables, having meters set up and having transformers close enough to people whereby you're able to set up the lines to every home, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is the goal of 100% in the next 5 years then achievable from indicators today? Because it's REREC as well as Kenya Power that are putting these efforts together. Is it achievable?
Yeah, of course, practically, the goal is achievable, but it takes also additional efforts to be able to achieve this. One of it is, of course, the resources. For you to be able to reach out to communities, then you need resources. And I'll tell you that with the 70% average that Kenyan government boasts of having their communities access to electricity, the 25% that is left actually is the hardest community to be able to reach because of the complexities that comes with ensuring that all of them. You'll even realize in rural areas we have pockets. We call them islands, pockets of communities that have no electricity. Somebody will say, my neighbor has from the east, my neighbor from the south, from the north has access. But we don't have. So we have a lot of pocket islands that we still need to be able to reach. And not just that, this is areas that are already on the grid. Areas that are completely off-grid requires a more dedicated effort to be able to reach. Yes, it's practical. It's practical. We can be able to, but requires dedicated resources.
And now this is a geographical problem that hard to reach or hard to navigate even when you are there.
Exactly.
And it raises then a bit of a political question, because then folks will say, well, why have you not reached us? But from what you're saying now, it's not that because you don't want to get there, but it's because you're trying to navigate and see how you will then be able to sort out issues in particular areas. Might that be the case?
Geographically, I think some areas we can say they are disadvantaged, and therefore the issues of resource coming in, disadvantaged in terms of the style of settlement, disadvantaged in terms of the distance from the main grid. And that is where now the aspect of renewable energy comes in. The benefit and the beauty with the renewable energy is you can install it anywhere, especially solar, that we are strongly relying in to power those communities. You can scale it to 10 households within a community and serve only that community. You can have a standalone, you just serve one household with electricity. So Yeah. So with a combination of geography, then we look at taking advantage of the new resources that we have to be able to power those communities that.
What are these new resources?
Mostly we talk of solar, because these are resources that we are now exploiting. We talk of wind energy. Yeah, we talk of bioresources. Some of the communities naturally good keepers of animals. Then biogas. we can be able to do biogas systems to enable them to generate electricity for their use. They can also use actually biogas has got quite multiple usage. You can also directly use it to do clean cooking.
Let me ask the question. All these things come with an element of cost, don't they?
Definitely.
Now, our rural areas are not known to be swimming in wealth. In most cases, people simply live from hand to mouth. It's a subsistence existence. How do we deal with this element of cost?
Actually, this is why REREC was established. You realize that the cost of, when you talk of electricity, the cost of connection through a commercial route is very high, and many of the communities will not be able to reach to that cost to even have a connection in their households. But the government deliberately invests through REREC to mwananchi. And therefore, what we do is we complement activities that are being done by other agencies like Kenya Power. We do the survey of those areas. We install. We actually extend the grid. We drop
lines,
the cables, so that they have access at their wall. Yeah, where the meters are installed. And this is done completely free of charge. The government absorbs that cost.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Engineer. Okay, sorry. Dennis, go ahead and I can come back and ask this,
Yeah. Engineer, as we talk about exploiting alternative energy, say in places like Turkana, Mandera, and we talk about solar, the element of cost comes in the sense that we also understand the government came up with policy formulation that would control this, and it made it even more expensive to have solar because of the 1 million shillings having qualified individuals to set it up. But 1 million shillings to set up solar already is expensive because you also have to buy the equipment. And when you talk about solar, it is not about the panel. It is about the batteries. It's about storing this power, which already is expensive. Don't you think that the government is defeating the costs by making it expensive already?
Unless I didn't get your question right, but what is happening is that in those rural areas, we know that the cost of setting up even a small standalone unit is high. But through REREC, then we secure a budget from the central government, and not just from central government. Also, the government also negotiate some grant support from development partners or development loans from development partners. Then we use these resources to set up energy systems within those rural communities. If you're aware of one of the decentralized systems that we have is a mini grid. A mini grid is a unit of solar power plant or wind or even small hydro that we develop using the resources that the government has secured. This will ideally be very expensive for communities to be able to set it up on their own. And therefore, with the resources that we have, we set up the plant, then we distribute the power.
I'm asking about the individuals who are setting up for themselves in rural areas, because not everybody would get the government support, but the government itself has made it difficult for the rural communities to get access to power. That's what I'm talking about.
Not ideally, because of course the equipment are expensive, because the costs are determined elsewhere. Yeah, especially cost of the batteries, and the batteries being very delicate part of the of a renewable energy system. The storage is very high. Yeah, but the government has deliberately also put some fiscal incentives in place. Yeah, those who are getting these items, then they are getting it at a reduced cost because of the duty that has been waived off from that, to accelerate individuals who wants to do that, to be able to manage the costs.
Okay, you talked about the rural electrification. I just want to talk about that particularly when we talk about one of those things being the last mile connectivity, which now falls under you, as well as one of the projects that government said we're going to make sure down to the last essentially centimeter, anybody who needs it is going to get it, or it's just going to be provided. And you talked about now the cables essentially being dropped to your wall and this being done free of charge. I wanted you to clarify that. That means people in homesteads who are looking for power today will not have to pay a shilling to be able to access it. What you pay is the usage. Please just clarify that.
Exactly. With the rural electrification program under Last Mile, under REREC.
Yes.
Yes. We extend the grid. We also maximize the transformer, because some of the transformers have been underutilized, yet communities have grown in specific areas. So what happens is we invest in the cost, we extend the grid within those communities and drop off the cables to their homes.
Okay.
Yes.
So nobody has to pay a shilling. So if we are in... let's take a stab. A place where nobody knows about. Tamu in Muhoroni. Okay? And...
That's where I come from. Really? Yes. Why do you think they're smiling? I'm feeling happy among themselves.
Okay?
Okay.
And somebody's family called Muga, just random,
yes,
needs power dropped into their home. And they go to the local KPLC office. Right?
REREC office.
REREC office in this case.
Yes.
Right? And they find engineer and says, actually, we've not had power. We've just set up here. We've come back to the town. We need to set this up. What you're saying, engineer, is that they will not have to part with a shilling.
Exactly.
And other people in the community may have power, may have not. There's already a, what's that big thing? Transformer.
Yes.
That is already there. So nobody has to spend a shilling to have power brought to their home.
Exactly. But they have to now pay for the meters.
Okay.
Because, what we do, of course, right now, the face that interacts with the customer is Kenya Power.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the ones who now do the billing.
Okay.
So what the communities does is they need to have a wiring certificate that's at their cost. Because you need to do wiring and it needs to be certified that it's safe for you to use.
Okay.
Yeah, so they need to ensure that is done, and that is done through a certified technician.
Okay.
Licensed by EPRA.
Okay.
That's EPRA.
Okay.
So with that, also they need to purchase the meter.
Okay.
Which now is installed at the point we have dropped the cable.
In their home.
Okay. So the meter is purchased.
Okay. What's the cost of the purchase of a meter?
Yeah, that I may need to confirm with Kenya Power. About 7,000.
7,000 shillings.
About that.
Okay.
So, about that.
What else do you need to purchase? And I'm going somewhere with this, please. What else do you need to purchase?
Yeah. So
that you spend?
Yeah. With that, then they start paying for their bills.
Okay.
Yes,
so I spend 7,000 shillings in Tamu. Somebody comes and installs the meter in my home, and then I'm either through a prepaid or postpaid. Usually it's going to be prepaid with the tokens. Then I can start to receive power in my home.
Yeah, sure.
So I shouldn't pay more than 7,000 shillings.
You shouldn't pay to the government. You shouldn't pay more than that, because you only pay for the cost of meter and ensure that you have your wiring system certified so that it's safe also for you to to use.
And how long should that take? I come to REREC offices in Tamu, I pay the 7,000 bob, and you've told me, yes, we're going to come and install the meter. Should I have power by the end of the day?
Just for clarification, the 7,000 is not payable to REREC.
Oh, it's for the meter?
That is for Kenya Power. That interacts with the billing.
Okay.
Yes. For us, it's completely free. You are not paying anything. To REREC.
Okay.
Yes.
How long does it take for the meter to then come to my home in order for me to start accessing power?
It has been a challenge, and I have to clarify that metering still is a function outside REREC, metering and billing of customers. Of course, recently there's been some slight challenge, delay in metering. We extend, we drop the cables, and the meters takes longer.
How long, engineer?
Installed. May not be specific to give the specific.
It's outside its purview.
So it's it's outside REREC. That is completely done by.
That she's asking. Okay, on average.
So on
a week, a month.
On average, actually, standard procedure. Immediately we drop, then you need to be metered and billed. Okay. So it before you start using, after installation, and that has happened.
I'd like you to walk us through this period, this process that takes place before you drop.
Yes.
Yes, and I also want to understand. You're talking solar here. So if I have electricity through power lines, can I also apply to have solar?
Can I disappoint you for just a minute? Let's take a break, right?
That's not a disappointment.
Okay. And then,
that is delayed gratification.
Very good. I'm glad that you've seen the positive lights and connection in all of this. Let's just take a break. We'll take a look at weather traffic and then come back, because I think that's important for us to now look into into the details. And then we will do that when we come back. We are having a conversation today about getting electricity essentially to the doorstep, rural electrification, and looking at last mile connectivity to happen at 100% by 2030. And we're starting to look at some of the intrigues into that. And joining us this morning to have that conversation, even as we do take that break, is engineer Fred Ishuga, and he is the general manager at REREC. It's 28 minutes to 9 o'clock. Don't go away. Back after this.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
All right, let's see if traffic has changed significantly. So a little bit of traffic still left coming off of the Eastern Bypass as you get out towards Outer Ring. But we've seen some traffic coming in from Ongata-Rongai on the other side of the city and then finding its way through past the Multimedia University and then out towards Langata Road. Langata Road itself is not doing too badly, taking you through towards Uhuru Highway and then out into the CBD. Traffic on the Thika Superhighway, just a little bit of that coming through from Kasarani and then out towards Survey. You have a dip in traffic, so that's good. No bumper to bumper until you get to that junction between Moranga Road and Wangari Maathai Way. Traffic on Friday morning is not doing the doozy on anybody, at least not for now. We're going to keep an eye on things and see how it moves and talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Last mile connectivity, taking power right to the doorstep of Kenyans. And that's what we're talking about this morning and looking at the intrigues of the same CT, delayed gratification. Go.
Yes, I already have electricity. Do I qualify to have solar power?
Yes, of course. You are able to do that.
You hesitated.
Yes. I want to put a ride on that.
Okay.
Yes. You can do that. You can install, most we call it captive. And you have seen, including just behind your installation here, I've seen the installation with panels.
We do.
On the rooftop.
Yes.
Yes. Yet they also have a connection from the main grid.
Yes,
that is allowed. And of course, as you know, energy is a regulated. It's a regulated field. Yeah. So EPRA, they license. They license such kind of installations. Yeah, you have to report to register that project. Let it be certified by a certified licensee from EPRA. Then you are able to.
I'm thinking of my home, not the business.
It's the same.
I still have to apply to EPRA.
Yes. Because all installations, energy is a regulated space.
But I thought it's you people who do that job.
I think City is asking from the aspect that he already has power.
Yes.
Can he still get solar through REREC?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, I get you.
Oh, you thought I wanted to go to the market to get it?
Yes.
So you're seated here, and you're Mr. REREC. No, it is you.
I think your demand is justified, but I mentioned that, of course, resources are scarce. Yeah, and we are able to.
They're now scarce when I'm asking for.
No, let me clarify something here. As REREC, being a government agency, we concentrate in ensuring that the public space. Mostly we reach out to, for electrification, we reach out to public spaces which involves markets. Then we have connections for dropping from the grid or from the mini grid. We only drop cables from the network. When it comes to installation of those standalone systems, we call them standalone systems, then we only do them in public facilities. This involves health facilities, administrative offices, schools. Yeah, like what you are mentioning, REREC has installed 4,886 schools with those standalone solar systems, especially in off-grid areas. Yeah.
Why the discrimination?
There's no discrimination here. Even the style of how we do electrification program, we target public facilities. You realize that most of the areas that we are extending grid, we prioritize schools, dispensaries and health facilities, markets, administrative offices, then communities. That is the first stage. Then communities around are able to enjoy the benefits of what has come within the public facilities. But now, of course, with the need for communities that are around those spaces, I've mentioned about islands, local islands, an area that we have public facilities across. I don't know where you come from, the other side. The other side, yes, in Moroni. Then we realize that we have a community there that has been left unfeasibly because we connect up to 600 meters from the transformer. Then we cannot extend beyond that because of safety reasons and power losses, among other engineering aspects that are related to it. Then we extend and install another transformer close to the node of those communities. Then we distribute. But ideally for solar systems, the way you are the one you're talking about, we do only for public facilities. Yes, standalone systems.
We talk about 100% energy connectivity by the year 2025. But let's talk about the far-flung areas. Let's talk about the Turkanas of the country, northeastern, who are majorly pastoralists. They keep on moving from one point to the other. How? Because we know we ensure that these communities that are moving get access to this power.
Let me say this. Pastoralists start receiving these resources. Electricity is an enabler. You are able to pump You are able to pump water. So you start finding those areas having boreholes and all that. And actually the pastoralists move because of search for water and in pasture. So with these initiatives, we have started to see the pastoralists move because of search for water and pasture. So with this increasing number of those who continue to practice pastoralism. Yes. So and of course with continuous access for these communities, the more we enable them to have access, then the more they devise different methods to be able to survive, with their livestock and all that. And naturally, it creates those nucleated settlement nodes, because everybody will want to be closer to where there is access to electricity.
Right.
So generally, it is minimizing those behaviors. Yes.
Okay. So the two challenges that I've heard so far in terms of reaching the goal, because from what you've said, the infrastructure is available. It's there already. The desire clearly is there. But I hear you talk about two main challenges. One would be your geographical challenges in terms of, access. And the other is a resource challenge when it comes to basically we don't have enough money to do as much as we would want at the time that we would want this to happen. So the question is, beyond that, are there any other things that we would see that essentially would stop this 7-year goal from being achieved, that we want to be able to get towards 100% in terms of the numbers by 2030? But I hear you saying that, okay, number one, we can't access all the areas that would need the power. Number two, we don't have enough money to be able to give everybody, the power that we need. Is there anything else?
I think as well, let me just write on that, because there is also the aspect that, like the Lake Turkana wind power system, is it functioning? Because at some point it was just stalled.
I can start with you. Of course, Lake Turkana wind power is an installation of a different institution. Yeah, but as far as we are concerned, it's still generating. It's still functional. Yeah. On the issue of resources, of course, as I mentioned, they are scarce. You can only do in a cascade way. You have budget this time, you are able to do this much. You have budget the other year, you are able to do this much. And that's how we've been moving. I mentioned from 2014, electrification access of just barely above 20%. And right now, it's about 75%. Okay. Yeah, so of course the government has been...
70% of the entire country.
Yes. On average. So ideally, the government has been making effort to see that we speed up this process. And that's the need for looking for other innovative methods to be able to do this. You have had new models coming in place. For generation, of course, you have heard of invitation of private sector to support us to generate so that we can be able to have sufficient for everyone. You have heard of public-private partnership models where the government invites able private companies or individuals to be able also to take part in the process, so that we can be able to quickly move towards ensuring that 100% access to electricity is reached by 2030. So quite a number of methods are being employed to be able to facilitate quick achievement of the goal.
Okay, so beyond then just the geography of it and the resources, we also then have access to adequate power. That the power that is available in the country right now is not enough to even serve those that are connected, right? So you're looking for additional sources as well to then be able. Because if you get new people on the grid today, if you're dropping more lines to more homes, and let's say that the next 25-30% has actually been reached, you can do the skeletal work, but you don't have the meat in terms of the power because there's just not enough. Am I wrong? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of investment going into, in addition to building infrastructure to access every Kenyan to electricity. There's also dedicated plan to have generation boosted. We have also seen the government doing inter-country connections. between Ethiopia, between Uganda, between Tanzania. Invitation of private sector. And they enter into a PPP agreement. Of course, it's within it's outside what we do within REREC, but those are steps that the government is actually taking to be sure that yes, we are connecting, and yes, we have sufficient to serve the population. And the nature of energy is also, as you connect, then the demand goes up. And this is from a household level. I just take an example of some of the mini grids that we have connected. By the way, we have quite a number in those areas that are not able to be reached very soon with a grid. You connect a household. Initially, they only have 3 bulbs. Then they realize, okay, I need to listen to SpiceFM. I need to watch KTN. They buy a TV. Within no time, it's so hot there. Most of those areas, the temperatures are slightly because of the lower. A fridge comes, among other things. Then you just start finding they were paying $500 a month. Right now, the bill has gone because of the consumption. It has also gone up. So it's the nature of electricity. So as we invest in connecting, the government is also very deliberate to invest in generation and strengthening the highway, the infrastructure, transmission infrastructure.
I want to go back to metering, and I know that, of course, outside the purview, but essentially it is one of the humps in the road that stops then REREC from doing what it's supposed to do. So if you supply the power, it's essentially useless if you don't have the mechanism that is going to then make sure that it's in the house. If there are there ways that you can, egg on your friends at Kenya Power to shorten the process of metering, because folks are paying for it. People are paying the 7,000, so that means the meter is there. So are we talking about the process of coming down to the place, connecting the thing? Somebody's not there on a Tuesday, waiting for them to come back on Thursday, and then sadly it's the weekend, we have to wait until Monday. Is that the process that we're dealing with? Or is there something beyond that then precludes folks from doing the connection of the meters? Because it affects your work as REREC.
Of course, it does. And of course, also disadvantage the citizens, of course. You are able to see that you can connect, but you still are not connected. So the minister has been taking a very deliberate move to ensure that the time is shortened. And actually, I can confidently mention that the PS and the CS have been working around the clock with KPLC through some of energized. Then the communities can immediately start benefiting from power. So this is a process that is being managed. It's being managed between the ministry and, of course, the Kenya Power. And currently, there's been a lot of step towards closing the gap. Of metering those that already connections have been done.
I mean, you say connectivity, especially setting up these systems, is an intensive and deep-pocketed affair. It is expensive to set them up, but that notwithstanding, then bring back in producing, in distributing this power. So in terms of having conversations, in making sure that it's easier for investors to set up, talk about incentivizing them, making sure that if it's all about batteries that are being bought, that the government has played its role to make your work easier. Those conversations, do you have them with the government? And if so, where are we?
I may not give a full,
REREC as a stakeholder.
We are stakeholder, and that's why I'll try to respond. Yes, this is happening. While the energy space is regulated, it's also liberal. It's regulated, but we allow different stakeholders to come at different points to be able to support. Private sector have had a role. And they really do a very, very great job within the space. I'll just mention that, like in those far-flanked, let's talk of maybe Kakuma, if I may just do an example. We have private players there. And they have had the benefit of government facilitating also them to enter into those spaces and set up energy systems, distribute, and also charge the customers. So that is done. With other areas, of course, we have quite a number of private players, private mini-grid operators. Yeah, through direct investment or investment through grant financing or loans. Yeah. So they come through, they request for permission to be able to serve a specific area. Then, of course, we look at our roadmap, electrification roadmap. Is this area likely to be covered this time?
Yeah.
If it's not likely to be covered within a specific period, then we allow them to set up.
Okay.
Yes. And also, they go ahead and charge the customers.
Okay.
Apart from now, of course, the tariff also has to be determined. They negotiate the tariff. We have EPRA. They regulate.
Yes.
So they negotiate the tariff. Of course, it might not be the same as the tariff that others who are connected through government installation do. But the tariff it has to be cost reflective because the investor needs to recover their cost.
Sure.
Yeah. So EPRA gives a tariff that is manageable for them to be able to get their return. Yeah.
That's a politically correct statement.
So if we played a little bit into the future and see a time in 2030, which is not too far away from today, 2025 is where we are 5 years from now, and we say that, fine, the goal has been achieved, last mile connectivity has been reached, rural electrification to, as close to 100% as possible also has been reached. What would then be the job of REREC?
REREC has got a huge mandate. REREC has a huge mandate. One, of course, I mentioned that the target of 2030 is possible. Recently, in February, you saw Kenya Power and REREC signed some contracts, which was overseen by His Excellency the President, to do 114 mini-grids in 14 underserved counties. So we are very much, and this is a program that is supported by the World Bank. So we are seeing a situation where we are very close to. You will have access of 5,000 communities today, but the communities keeps increasing.
Sure.
So we have to keep matching with the increase, changes in dynamics. We have to keep to track with the need for more generation. So we will need to generate more. Of course, in 5 years, 10 years to come, the amount of energy required to serve our community will not be the same as today because of the many changes that will have happened. The demand will have gone up for electricity, among other things. So REREC has got still a lot to do within the electrification space. But remember, the mandate of REREC after the 2019 Energy Act, it was expanded.
Yes.
And we are doing much more now within renewable energy space. Renewable energy does not end with electricity access.
Sure.
I just briefly mentioned that we are doing clean cooking.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have energy centers across the country. We call them
how many counties?
We have 16 in 16 counties. Actually 17. We have.
How did you select the 17 counties?
Initially, of course, these energy centers were set by the Ministry of Energy in 1984.
1994?
84. Yes. It's early.
That's in the previous century.
Yes. Okay. So we had provincial administrations and all that. So they anchored into that. But right now, when they were transferred to REREC with the promulgation of the new act, then we have them situated in those 17 counties. And REREC has a role to work with county governments.
Were all the provinces covered?
I may need to look at the roadmap.
All the provinces were covered. It means regionally, REREC has a presence literally in every region.
Actually, we do. Yes. We do. because our electrification project is across all the constituencies. Yes, and our energy centers also are covering all the constituencies. Yeah, so with the energy centers, these are centers that were specifically put in place to promote renewable energy. Yeah, to promote improved cookstoves, to also support in averting issues of deforestation. That time it had come so bad.
Yeah.
So we also have tree nurseries and tree growing activities with those energy centers. But above all, what we do there mostly is to sensitize communities and to train communities in effort of increasing adoption of renewable energy, not just electrification, because we have other aspects of renewable energy. Look at solar water heating systems. They are not been taken up so much. We are promoting that. We have technicians there who give technical assistance to farmers to be able to set up biogas energy systems in their homes. Yeah, they design for them, they monitor how the installation is done and support the farmers through the operation phase. Yeah, so that the biogas system can be useful in their households. So these are some of the activities that REREC is gearing up to be able to ensure that renewable energy really is absorbed by the communities.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of the renewable energy mechanisms require intervention at the policy level of ministry, whereby there are certain things that need to be done, implemented to ensure something like solar power is used, solar power is implemented, solar power is then as an alternate source of energy. But there's so many things that need to be done in the interim, and that's why we see some of the hiccups are that we can't. I mean, for goodness sake, we have countries around the world who see sun 4 months a year and are implementing solar power strategies better than we are, who see the sun maybe twice a day, even on Sunday. So the question is, are there mechanisms to ensure that some of these alternate renewable energy sources are actually being implemented and not just a suggestion?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I am presenting the activities that we are doing through the energy centers. Remember, most of renewable energy systems that are used at household level, they are small in nature. They are not very like what city mentioned that he wants to have his rooftop installed, or a car park installed with a solar PV system.
Yeah.
Of course, that will have to be a privately initiated program for you.
Do you allow us to pay you to do that?
We don't receive any charge.
If
you work in our energy center.
Yes.
You give us your requirements. We send our team there. It gives you technical assistance. Then you procure a service provider. We can tell you are able to do this.
And you can point me to a service provider.
We try to remain neutral because most service providers are private entities. Huh?
The reason why I asked the question is because.
But we can point you.
You have a pool of this.
Yes, not only that. This is what you do. So you clearly have more knowledge than I do.
Of course.
Yes.
So we'll tell you you can deal with this, or this. They're within the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Visit them. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, great to see the visibility. Of course, we see what the challenges are, what the hurdles are. The hope is that those hurdles can be, surmounted, and we can move to a place where truly one of these things, which we can see in the horizon, can be achieved in Kenya under REREC, can actually be done. We want to thank you for being here with us this morning.
Great.
And we keep checking on you and seeing how far have we gone. Engineer Fred Ishuga is the General Manager, Renewable Energy Research and Development, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, otherwise known as REREC, has been our guest this hour. Thank you so much for being here.
Great. Thank you to be hosted with you.
Asante sana. Good morning. 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Ellen Tirop. Police in Muhoroni, Kisumu County are investigating the brutal murder of a 17-year-old Form 4 student whose decomposing body was found in a sugarcane plantation. She had been missing since Monday, and locals alerted police after spotting dogs with body parts. The body had strangulation marks, with a police suspecting assault before the killing. A 30-year-old suspect, Lawrence Aworo, is in custody as investigations continue. The body has been taken to St. Vincent Mission Hospital for a post-mortem. Supporters of Saboti MP Caleb Amisi have protested in Kitale Town against decision not to appoint Amisi as the chairman of the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee, and instead given to Buteri MP Tindi Mwale in that position. The group of youths who have burnt tires and caused traffic chaos in Kitale Town have given ODM party leader Raila Odinga 7 days to rectify the situation, or else they will leave the party.
Baba Raila Amolo Odinga kupitia kwa Mheshimiwa Caleb Amisi, baba aliongoza kura hapa Trans Nzoia. Sisi kama watu wa Trans Nzoia hatuja benefit kwa hii broad based, kwa sababu pale Kakamega County wakapeana waziri, kule Nyanza wamepeana mawaziri. Trans Nzoia hii hakuna kitu ambacho tumebenefit. Ile nafasi yenye tulikuwa tumepewa hapa tumesikia imeenda tena Kakamega kwa Tindi Mwale. So we want to call upon leadership ODM kiongozwa na baba. Sisi nampatia makataa ya siku 7. Kama hakutakuwa na kitu yote imefanyika kwa kijana wetu, kama vijana wa Saboti na Trans Nzoia tunaenda kuungana. Tusukume Mheshimiwa Caleb Amisi turegister chama chetu, sisi tumweke ndani aweze kupeperusha hiyo chama na tutoke ODM kabisa, kwa sababu hiyo ni kama game tunachezewa.
They have threatened to disrupt ODM activities in the county if they are not given satisfactory reasons for not appointing the MP to serve as the PAC chairman. They said the protest will continue this afternoon.
Unaacha kijana pao na mtoka kwa PAC. Mbona unampeleka hivi?
Kwani sisi watu ya Trans Nzoia yetu ni gani? Kwani vitu zote zitakuwa za kwenda Nyanza na za kwenda huko Western?
Umetusahau sisi. Umekuwa kwa serikali ya Moi, umekuwa kwa serikali ya Kibaki, umekuwa kwa serikali ya Kasongo, umekuwa kwa serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Mimi nasema hivi baba, bila Caleb ODM hapa Trans Nzoia hakuna.
ODM si tunaona ni kama wanataka kutuchezea. Na sisi tunaambia leo ODM na tunaambia Raila na wewe na vibaraka zako. Kama nyinyi mnaona mtaki wa Kenya wengine kwa hii broad based government, is better nyinyi mtoi ODM hapa Trans Nzoia. Huyu kijana ni amepigania ODM Trans Nzoia. Unadhani kupata mbunge mmoja kwa hii county ni rahisi?
President William Ruto has assured university and college students that delayed help funds will be released by today. He acknowledged the delays and confirmed that all outstanding funds will be processed before the end of the week after meeting with the relevant cabinet secretary. Students had protested over the delay with demonstrations in Nairobi, citing financial struggles due to the lack of disbursement for tuition and living expenses. The government had previously released 3.32 billion to support first and second-year students. US President Donald Trump has threatened a 200% tariff on European alcohol imports, escalating tensions in a global trade war after European Union proposed tariffs on American whiskey in response to Trump's 25% steel and aluminium tariffs. The news caused a stock market declines, with Canada also announcing countermeasures. Alcohol is becoming a key issue in the dispute, risking US bourbon exports due to EU tariffs. That's the Newswire. I'm Ellen Tirop.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice. When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa.
We should be coming.
All right, taking a look at traffic this morning, a little bit of that. It's making its way through the city, and it's pretty busy as you come towards Muranga Road. If you're coming off of Kangunda Road, nothing much happening here, and that has reduced significantly. The Thika Superhighway is looking good this Friday morning, and a little bit of traffic coming off of Magadi Road that has now seemed to fizzle out, so not a problem here. It looks like traffic hour is going to come to an end very early this morning, but we're going to keep an eye on all of it and see what happens as we find our way out of it at a few minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's check back in about half an hour and try to keep things moving. We'll talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Traffic updates brought to you by M-Pesa. Calling all rugby enthusiasts. We're on the hunt for girls and young women who are passionate about rugby and ready to bring the best cheer to the global cheer squad for Kenya Sevens. Show your love for the sport by sharing your most spirited cheer videos on social media, tagging SpiceFM and using hashtag M-Pesa behind every moment.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 9:07 and it is the 14th of March, and getting into the final hour of the final conversation, and this week on Kenya's biggest conversation, and it's a healthy Friday conversation as we normally do. And today we'll be talking about one issue that has taken quite a number of people into very many areas of distress, and in terms of what you do for healthcare, in terms of what you spend, and in terms of how it actually affects your health for the long term. It's not aside from the fact that today is World Kidney Day, and we're asking ourselves today the question, what to watch out for. Joining us in the hot seat for today's Healthy Friday discussion is a consultant nephrologist with the Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu, and that's Dr. Ben Lomatayo. Good morning, Daktari.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
We're going to be looking at kidney disease, and of course, I mean, just imagining the different things, the different effects that it's had on people in the last decade is quite something. But before we get into that, on this World Kidney Day, CT is going to welcome you properly to the Situation Room, and I see you smiling, so you must have heard the rumors. CT will welcome you with today's proverb. He'll tell you which African country it's from, and then you can share what what you think about that proverb, right? Okay.
Okay. Our proverbs the whole of this week.
Your reputation precedes you, CT.
It appears so.
Yes.
Our proverbs have been from the Gabonese Republic of Gabon. Now, I worked very eloquently on Gabon and the things about Gabon and why Gabon is where it is and what it is, the history and so forth, for a simple reason. Gabon in many, many ways is symptomatic of what it is, the history of it, symptomatic of the continent. A continent rich in human resource, rich in diversity, rich in mineral resource, and yet the poor are so abjectly poor. They give new definitions of poverty. Mm-hmm. And those who are rich are so filthy, stinkingly rich that it is actually sinful. Now, these have brought problems to these countries, and that's why we've had coups and coups and coups. Gabon belongs to a geopolitical region that is referred to as a coup belt for a very good reason. One could say there are more coups in that country than rainfall. No, that's not true.
Wow.
But there are a lot of coups in that particular country. This shouldn't be the norm.
It rains coups.
Yes, we can't take this as the norm. It can't be that it's normal that countries are constantly in turmoil, because the people who suffer the most, again, are these poverty-stricken citizens of the continent. Anyway, this proverb is not poverty-stricken. Yeah. Bad friends will prevent you from having good friends.
All right. First of all, I think I want to thank my hospital to give me the opportunity to come to Spice FM. Many times I get the opportunity, I listen to Spice, and it's my pleasure to see City in person and do, and probably Dennis Aseto.
Yes.
Correct. All right. So my take on this proverb city is this, just like generally in life, if you have something or you believe in something, you would like to stick on it, and you want to bring other people to be with you, regardless if it is good or no. And therefore, probably the bad friends for themselves, because they're not seeing it bad, so they feel like this is something good, and if you are out there, they lure you in so that you'll be with them, and that's it.
You painted a good picture.
Very good picture. Right. Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and so painting a picture of, of reality, and if we take brushstrokes to that today, we're looking at, it is World Kidney Day, and we're looking then into kidney disease and some of the effects that it has had on folks over the last period of time, and just looking at some numbers in terms of what has been happening. But before we get into that, what does a nephrologist do? Because obviously now, talk to us about nephrology and what it entails. It's definitely linked to the conversation that we're having today. But just give us an insight into that.
All right. Okay. So a nephrologist is simply a doctor who is taking care of kidney patients.
Okay.
Right? And the care of kidney patient is quite diverse. There are many diseases linked to kidney. And as well, management of this disease also is very diverse, ranging from lifestyle up to some clinical interventions and technology-based, like dialysis. So even kidney transplantation.
Yeah.
So this is basically the nephrologist.
Yeah.
And what is he doing as in kidney disease and the management.
Okay. Different kinds of kidney diseases, but if we just look at the burden over the world, and as by way of introduction, the world is looking at almost 800 million cases of people living with kidney disease today. Looking at about 1/10 of the world's population. We're not talking about those who've died from it. We're talking about those who are presently living with it. And if we look at the burden in Kenya, 4 million Kenyans currently living with kidney disease, possibly will be 4.8 million by 2030. And that's a big number. We're also looking at just under 10% of Kenya's population currently living with kidney disease. Give us an overview of the kinds of kidney disease that we see are affecting people and what is causing them.
All right. Thank you. Going into this discussion, I want to remind ourselves that the World Kidney Day actually, it was yesterday, and there was celebration across the country and globally. So, for the same reason that you're bringing about the numbers and what it takes, actually, kidney disease, it become kind of epidemic or sort of global crisis, and that's why we have activities like World Kidney Day. And by the way, yesterday it was the 20th anniversary for this event.
Yeah.
The first time started in 2006. It was a joint initiative by two non-profit organizations worldwide. That is International Society of Nephrology and also International Federation of Kidney Foundation. So these organizations, they are basic towards promoting kidney health. For the same reason that we just introduced taking lives and the numbers. So And kidney disease is also silent killer, in a sense that there are no symptoms that somebody can present, especially initially, and you will see those symptoms when actually 90% of the kidney is gone. This is why you start seeing the symptoms. So it's a big issue. If you look at it from 1990s up to 2016s, the numbers are getting crazy. That is as far as concerning chronic kidney disease, or we call it CKD. You see, you mentioned 850 million. That is, by the way, statistic up to 2017, and we're now in 2025. Probably a different thing. And then also, if you like epidemiology stuff like incidence, prevalence, death rate, mortality, and also disability adjusted life years, everything is double from 1990 up to 2016. So you can imagine now the volume of the crisis that we're facing as far as concerning the chronic kidney disease. Not only that, just not few years, not so long, it was the 19th cause of death worldwide, if you look at the rank, 19th. But the chronic kidney disease...
19th out of?
I mean, in a rank.
Yes, but out of how many?
I mean, there are many diseases worldwide.
The reason why I asked the question is I'm trying to determine the seriousness of it. Because if it's 19 out of 20, it's bad. It's 19 out of 50, it's 19 out of 100. Yes.
Yes. Probably it is...
If we look at the common causes of death in the world, let's say common medical causes
and there are
of death.
50 of them, and kidney disease at 19, then it's pretty serious.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't have the exact number.
That's fine.
Yes. But what I'm trying to project here is, 19th, this few years, it jumped, and as we speak now, it is 7th cause of death.
7th?
Now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just few years, even a decade or so. Let me tell you, in a decade.
Yeah, the last 10 years. Yes.
It came to
What has
7.
happened in the last 10 years that has brought about this?
Yes.
I mean, as I'm just saying, it's a silent killer.
So we see an increase of it. Is it because we are able to detect it better? We're able to understand what it is that happens to people? Have the numbers of human beings increased? And so by so increasing, the number of diseases that we carry has also increased? Is it, this man talks about climate, or is it the climate that has changed?
All right. The main drivers, diabetes, hypertension, and also aging.
Aging?
Yeah. These are the main drivers.
I'm interested in aging.
Look at this side when you're talking about aging.
No, I'm thinking of aging because I'm old. So, I was saying in the past people didn't get old, so they didn't need to. This was not a factor.
Tweak their kidneys.
Or is it that people are living longer, and as a result of it, we are beginning to see the determination of the illness in older people?
Right.
I think, Dr. as well, how would you tie this with the kind of lifestyle that we live?
Well, there is, kidney disease usually come as a result of something.
Okay.
And as I just mentioned, diabetes is one major risk factor. And if you look at diabetes, there's also increase in prevalence, increase in incidence, and then the worst case scenario is these things now is coming to the low and middle income countries. So it's no longer a Western thing as we thought before. More diabetes now we are experiencing, then more kidney disease now we are experiencing.
Okay. So you talk about kidney disease coming as a result of different things. You mentioned hypertension. So as a result of that, you could get kidney disease, diabetes. We know that with diabetes, for example, there's heightened urination, and then that also then has an effect on how the kidney works, because it is essentially the filter, for waste in the body, one of the filters for waste in the body.
Right.
So many things can happen. And I'm going to give an example of a case that I was involved in just a few months ago, not months, just a few weeks ago, whereby there was a severe case of malaria, right? And because of this, we started to see the shutdown. And because of this, malaria went untreated for a particular amount of time. And we started to see the shutdown of the kidneys, whereby we saw, and I would like it, just because I was involved in the case, then we can now start to see terms that come about with things like creatinine levels, whereby they should be at 114 at the highest. But in this patient, they were at 1,400, right? And he was in a critical state and had to be taken to the ICU and then the HDU thereafter, and then brought back to the normal ward. So this person was actually in the beginning stages of critical,
right,
and going towards kidney failure,
right,
essentially. But just to go back to what you said, that kidney disease essentially comes as a result of something else that has happened. In this case, malaria that had affected the organs, could be hypertension that affects the organs, could be diabetes. So it doesn't essentially just come out on its own unless you had a fault with the kidney itself before. Is that what we are saying? So essentially, kidney disease is caused by something else.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And what are the symptoms that you would then be able to say, okay, there's something wrong here? What would you say that a nephrologist, or when you go to the hospital, they would say, okay, then there's something wrong with your kidneys because we've seen 1, 2, 3.
Right. I think the scenario that you just said bring us to something called kidney disease in tropics. Like where we are now, there are some factors that can lead to kidney disease. Among them is malaria. For example, you get also diarrheal illness and poisons or snake bites, and also the weather, especially heat. You get some form of dehydration. This can project you also into kidney disease, plus also traditional medicine. So these are common risk factors for kidney disease that we can see in our area here in tropics, beside the things that like hypertension and diabetes. And most of the time, stuff like malaria or typhoid or diarrheal illness bring us something called acute kidney injury. Acute kidney injury means the kidney most of the time has the ability to go back into the previous healthiest state, as long as you address the factor. Like you mentioned, malaria and this number of creatinine went high. So if the malaria is treated, for example, early on, is addressed, then we expect recovery in the kidney function. But sometimes you mentioned that this person become very critical, and the level of creatinine, which is supposed to be 114, is now become higher. In this situation, besides treating the main cause that lead to kidney disease like malaria, we can support the kidney with what we call dialysis treatment. And the moment we see creatinine very high like this, is a reflection of that the kidney is really not doing well. Yeah. So beside addressing the main cause, like treating the malaria, you also want to support the kidney, because sometimes creatinine very high like this, the person is not able to make the urine. And sometimes a lot of waste also accumulating into the body, including potassium and a lot of acids, which will require other form of treatment, which is dialysis, beside treating the main cause of the kidney failure here, which is malaria. But as I said, most of the time, these are reversible condition. Like when you treat the malaria, even if this person went through dialysis, there's a high chance for the kidney to become healthy again. But we advise people in this situation, they should have also close monitoring after discharge, because a small number, they can move from this situation of acute kidney injury to a chronic kidney disease, which now we're talking about a global crisis and all those things. Yeah.
Doc, as we talk about acute kidney injury, in this country there is a problem in terms of over-the-counter medicine. You are sick, you're feeling some type of way, over-the-counter buy a painkiller, and you're good to go. And reports suggest that these as well would cause what you call medication injury or excess of that would affect the kidney due to that. Just how bad is the exercise of over-the-counter medication, and this leading to increased numbers of kidney diseases that you see in hospitals?
Absolutely, Dennis. This is a very important point, and that's why we utilize World Kidney Day to promote awareness about kidney health. And these are one of the things that it can actually lead to acute kidney injury, over-the-counter medication. And sometimes it will not take you long to have kidney injury. Sometimes you just take maybe 3. This is not your body before you start taking this tablet. For example, let's say you have a knee pain for whatever reason. Then you start taking them. Maybe 3-4 days down the lines, now you feel like you're feeling fatigue. You start, for example, to vomit. And then you need to seek for health advice. Then, when you go there, and if the kidney is tested, things just out of blue, you'll find that, for example, your creatinine is all of a sudden 800. Just because of that simple painkiller that you have taken. And that's why from one of the messages that we can send to people today, try to be very careful with this painkillers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take us back a little bit and talk to us about what creatinine is actually?
All right. So, kidney function usually we test it by some markers. So, one of the markers that we use to tell us about kidney function is the creatinine. Originally, it's originated from the muscles, but we'll use it as a mark of the kidney damage, though it's not the best, but it's the one which is at the moment at least available, and we are utilizing it to reflect the kidney function. Yeah.
Okay. So is it a waste product? What is it?
Well, if you have, for example, normal kidney function, you mentioned that it is, for that case, for example, that reference case that you mentioned is around 114, right?
The normal, 114, yeah.
Yeah. That's to assume that everything is all right. So kidney is able to handle it. But if it goes out of this range, that means there is an issue, and it become a waste. That really has to be cleared, especially if you take the example of the drug or painkiller that you just take from the pharmacy.
So how do you get it? Is it through urine? Is it blood samples?
Well, it's a very good question. This also brings us to the messages of World Kidney Day. So the theme of this year is early detection and protect kidney health. So it's asking the question: are your kidney okay? Now, this early detection, you can put line under it. It means 2 things: identify people at risk. Of course, we can't test everybody for kidney disease, right? So there are some risk factors. You just discuss some of them, like diabetes and hypertension. So if you have a patient with hypertension, that is known, you can test that person for urine. In the urine, we are most interested into things like protein in urine. Protein in urine. Normally, there are certain limit of protein in urine. That's physiological. That's normal. But if it exceeds that, it may indicate that there is a kidney issue. So in the urine, we look for protein, and also sometimes protein plus blood and other stuff. But commonly is protein.
Okay.
And for the blood, we test the creatinine. So it's a blood test.
All right. World Kidney Day was yesterday, the 13th of March, and we're having a conversation around that and what to look out for with Dr. Ben Lomatayo. And as we do that, we're now looking into its treatment and how that is then accessible and readily available for people around the country. More and more people getting on dialysis every weekend, saying, okay, so why does it have to be 3 times a week kind of thing? So let's look into some of those as we come back from this break on our Healthy Friday conversation, looking at World Kidney Day and what to look out for at 9:30.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Friday conversation continues this morning with Dr. Ben Lomatayo from the Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu, and we're looking at World Kidney Day, which was yesterday, but then also some of the issues surrounding that, with kidney disease having increased, number one, in its severity and its prevalence over the last 10 years, Daktari. Now, even as we look at, there are many things that have come up in terms of the treatment and management of kidney disease. You've talked about it being reversible, but one of the big things that we hear all the time is dialysis. Somebody being on dialysis for 3 times a week. Somebody have to think about dialysis. First of all, let's go into what dialysis is as a form of treatment and management of kidney disease towards it being reversed.
All right. Thank you for that, Ndu. Dialysis is one of the technological advances in management of severe form of kidney disease. I mentioned that there is an acute kidney injury. This is a situation that the kidney may have the ability to go back. So in situation of acute kidney injury, for example, if somebody requires dialysis like 2 or 3 weeks, for example, I want our audience also to understand that dialysis for acute kidney injury is not a continuous thing.
Okay.
It's not a continuous thing. So maybe a time will come, this dialysis will be stopped because the kidney is recovered back.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not the situation with chronic kidney disease, whereby dialysis, it has to be a lifetime kind of thing. So what is this dialysis exactly? It is just simply a filter that, kidney naturally is a filter. Right?
Yeah.
So to try to simulate the kidney, we have this artificial filter outside the body. So this filter is trying to mimic the kidney function. But the kidney work 24/7, but it won't be practical for dialysis to work 24/7, and that's why you hear the 2 times in a week or 3 times in a week or sometimes once weekly. So that filter outside trying to mimic the natural kidney function, that is removal of the waste and removal of excess fluid from the body, and also removal of acids.
Yeah.
So what happened technically is, we will access the body of the person who is sick because of the kidney failure. We will pull the blood from the body of the person, and this blood will go to the filter, and the filter basically remove the waste, and then relatively clean blood will again come back to the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me understand this. So what's happening? Because obviously, because they're seeing this, so there tubes that are put into the system of a person.
Right.
And what essentially is passing through the tube, going through to now this artificial kidney, as it were, during dialysis, is that the blood is passed through, the blood of this individual is passed through these pipes, and the tubes rather.
Right.
And then this artificial kidney is cleaning the blood because of the fact that the kidney resident in your body is damaged and is not able to do the work.
Exactly.
And essentially you need to keep this person alive for this filtration process to happen.
Exactly.
So how does dialysis then assist the kidney to heal and reverse the damage if the function is not there at the time? You're just taking the work of the kidney, doing it outside the body, essentially.
Right.
So how does the kidney heal? Or because you're giving it downtime now and it starts to regenerate, or what happens?
All right. Thank you for that, Andu. So I just said there are two forms of dialysis. Dialysis because of acute kidney injury.
Yeah.
Right. A situation that is likely to be reversible. And in that situation, we know that the kidney is likely to recover. But for that recovery to happen, the person is sick because of the accumulation of the waste and water and things that the kidney is unable to clear. And those wastes will kill you if dialysis did not happen. This is, for example, in the acute situation. So we know, for example, a person A took drug and then now in a situation of acute kidney injury that requires dialysis. So because this person in acute kidney injury, there's a lot of water in the body, there's a lot of waste, not making urine. These are the situations we need dialysis to clear those things that are not moving because the kidney is not working well. So if we don't do dialysis, and this is an acute situation, the person might die because of those waste accumulating in the body. So we do dialysis to buy time until the kidney recovers. This is in acute situation. But in chronic, we're not expecting anything. Because chronic kidney disease is a permanent form of damage, and that's why dialysis in this situation is a lifetime therapy.
So what is it that causes these permanent damages?
Yes. So these are the risk factors that we're talking about. Like, for example, blood pressure, which is not detected early or detected, but the person is not good with treatment. So moving around with very high blood pressures, 10, 15 years down the line, then damage happen. Damage happen. The same for diabetes.
Okay. When we talk about the kidney and the diseases, they are diseases that are related directly to the kidney.
Yes.
What are these diseases?
Well, most of them, we call them glomerular diseases. Glomerular diseases. I don't want to be too technical into that.
No, you already
glomerular diseases.
Glucose.
All right, glue diseases.
Glue diseases. All right. So these are inherent disease to the kidney because of different factors. And primarily the disease is coming from the kidney itself. So these are called, simple I can say for our audience, disease of the filter itself. Disease of the filter itself. And there are many and wide range of them. And they also has the potential to cause permanent kidney damage. And also leave alone that sometimes when you go to children, for example, they're born with some form of congenital anomalies into the kidney. This has nothing to do with hypertension, because the kidney is just born, malformed. This also can contribute to form of chronic kidney disease that requiring dialysis.
Could there be also genetics involved in kidney diseases? It's you inherit it from, say, parents?
Very good question, Dennis. Yes. We also have some form of genetic kidney disease, even the one just I mentioned. For example, in children. Those congenital kidney diseases, most of the time there are some genetic factors related to it. And also for adults, we also have some form of familial kidney disease. You will see now if you go to some dialysis center, you will find, for example, the father and the son. It's a familial form.
Yes.
We also have them existing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of the organs in the body can be replaced through the process of transplant. At what point, especially with CKD, would you then say perhaps this is a candidate for kidney transplant? And are we seeing the practice of that growing?
Yes. The transplant is available, and it's actually growing as we speak now around the country. So far, more than 600 kidney transplant has happened. Yeah. So it's an activity that, for example, in a national hospital like Kenyatta, is an activity that happening every Wednesday. Unless there is an issue, then it will stop. But otherwise, every Wednesday throughout the year,
there's a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And are these donors familial, or are they, unfortunate accident donors? Is there a donor system? What's happening? How do you get or is it, a daughter will, offer one for her father, or a mother will offer one for her son, kind of thing?
Yeah. Yes. So for donation, so far, by law, is a family thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be family.
Okay.
Right. By law.
Okay. And can you function on just one kidney, and how well can you?
All right. Good. And you can function with one kidney, and that's why we also educate the public so that they don't fear about kidney donation. You can be able to live with one kidney without any problem, and that's why we encourage donation, because there is a serious shortage for donors. People are suffering, but when you discuss with them, you will find 6-7 brothers in the family, but no one able to come forward.
Is it because they don't understand?
Because they fear.
Or they fear that that maybe they may donate, and that's the end?
And also lack of understanding of that you'll be able to live with one kidney without any problem.
There's something as a child I used to hear people talk of. Kidney stones. And I was puzzled. Because my understanding of a stone, when I got to understand the human anatomy, and I could see where the kidney was, I was thinking stones.
How can a stone fit
kidney?
there?
What are kidney stones?
Right. So this also other risk factor for chronic kidney disease.
Yes.
So basically, stone come from the idea that we have some chemicals exposed to some environment. Like, for example, you have very hot weather and you don't drink enough water. So you're always in situation of dehydration. So those chemicals in the urine, they can precipitate and solidify and crystallize.
Crystallize.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then the end result will be stone forming around the whole urinary tract. Anywhere. Can be in the bladder, can be in the urethra, can be in the kidney itself.
I reckon that would be mighty painful.
Yes, it's actually. And how do we know it in the practice? Because somebody will come in with severe unexplained pain, you see. And we talked about genetics also. Some genetics rule in stone formation. It's a very painful situation, and this is how we diagnose it. Somebody will come with, for example, unexplained abdominal pain, and when you test the urine, because stone will irritate the system, you'll find some blood in the urine. When you ask for investigation tools like ultrasound or X-ray or CT, you'll be able to see the location of the stone.
So, Doc, one would want to ask, in terms of, is it a disease that does not pick gender, or it's just anyone can get it?
Good question, Dennis. Now, all ages, all
genders,
all races.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, if you look at those who are on a normal day, because it is a disease for all, this now leads me to the next question. Reports indicate that men naturally fear hospitals in terms of going for checkups and whatnot. And that means that when you talk about kidney diseases, by the time a man is coming to seek for disease, we're talking about critical kidney disease. So how then do we pass this information? Because it is World Kidney Day. How do we convince men not to shy away from hospital and seek medical attention?
Absolutely. It's a true point, Dennis, and that's why you may see, for example, more female on dialysis than men. But this does not mean that men does not have a disease. But probably maybe they are just moving around there, struggling and not coming forward. So, but I think it's an issue, is cutting across, not only kidney disease.
Kidney disease, yeah.
You see, many other diseases. But again, as you just said, it's all matter of awareness, increasing awareness, matter of campaign through World Kidney Day and renal outreaches, media. We will get there.
When you talk about, say, populations and regions where kidney disease may be prevalent, and you don't have a history of high risks of things like hypertension, sugar, or the diabetes issues, what then could be the underlying causes? Because I am aware that in certain parts of the country, the HIV disease and infection played a major role in some of these things. But all things considered, what then would be the factors?
Good point, Sete. So the reason we emphasize on hypertension and diabetes, because globally, worldwide, by statistics, these are the drivers. But it does not mean that no other factors that can contribute to kidney disease. So here, for example, if you look at our continent, if you look at our continent, this epidemiology might not be true. Because, for example, the data from the West will see that aging population, at risk of kidney disease and above between 65 and 74, 1 out of 5 men.
Yeah.
1 out of 4 women. The data from there. But what we see here, for example, let's say Kenya as an example of a country from Africa, the trajectory is different. We see young people on dialysis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We see young people on dialysis. So if you just pass across the dialysis unit, this issue of aging is there, but you'll see young people. So
what would cause it in a younger person as opposed to an older person?
This is the question. This is the question for City.
Yeah.
So the observation that probably we have other different factors. And also what is also difficult to identify those factors, many times we see these young people, they're already requiring dialysis. In that situation, it's very difficult to know the exact cause of kidney disease. Yes, we can investigate thoroughly. Sometimes the investigation negative, yet the person is suffering from end-stage renal failure, is on dialysis. This person, not only one, a lot of patients. So what I'm trying to say here is we still need to do more in this side of the world to know those other etiologies that you're asking for kidney CT. One way of that is, for example, to do a kidney biopsy. Kidney biopsy meaning if the person come at earlier time before the kidney crash completely, we will sample that kidney. This can give some information about what's going on with the kidney. So sampling the kidney is one thing, and also, Dennis, you mentioned genetics. In this part of the world, we don't know much about genetics for a few reasons. Most of the time, the genetic testing is expensive, and when you see a situation that really you need to do some genetic testing, you're not able because of the cost. So probably some genetic that is missed, some other infections that is missed. Beside the things that you mentioned, I did not discuss, for example, HIV, you mention malaria, typhoid. This we know them. Other infection, brucellosis, these are contributory factors. But still, there are many in this part of the world we don't know.
It's true. We don't have a very strong research background when it comes to some of these matters, so data may be thin. However, if you simply go by what is available, there's a time in our part of the world where these diseases were almost non-existent.
Yeah, correct.
We had other problems.
Correct.
But these were not our problems. In fact, they didn't even feature as a problem.
Correct.
And then now, they have reared their heads and they are calling for attention because there are many. The number, the prevalence has gone up.
And for that matter, let's just cut you short. Calling for attention. You know, now the International Society of Nephrology is having something called ISN petition. They are collecting the signature. They are looking for a 1 million petition.
So that?
And then also one of the countries in South America, Guatemala, they submitted a resolution to WHO asking for people the situation of kidney disease to be prioritized. The deadline actually for this petition was supposed to be in December, but extended to May, because in May there is a World Health Assembly, so that people will lobby for this issue of the kidney to take a global attention by voting.
Okay. So, City, you talk about these diseases.
You know, I'm a host here.
Yes.
Okay, just go on then.
You talk about these diseases being non-existent, and is it because we were focusing on other problems that we were not keen on testing our diseases in the country, and now with population pressures, it's glaring that these are problems that...
Dennis, since you addressed me, one of the problems that we have with some of these non-communicable diseases is the sedentary life that people live. Okay, we didn't have sedentary lifestyles.
Yeah, we didn't. We moved around everywhere.
Some of these diseases are brought about by toxins through agricultural products and other things that we have now embraced. We didn't have those problems before. Okay, so please, Daktari. Now over to Daktari.
Yes, I tend to agree with Dennis for the point that he raised that maybe you're not testing for. This is a very important point. You know, if you see the theme for today, World Kidney Day is detect early. How do you detect early?
Yeah, how do you?
Testing. How do we know? Testing. So probably, I want to agree that maybe you're not testing people. You see, and that's why the picture is not that, amazing. But let me tell you something. If you go into dialysis unit, you see people who are seeing on dialysis as far as concerning chronic kidney disease. Actually, this is the tip of the iceberg. See it? It's the tip of that you see in dialysis. This actually the small population of people with chronic kidneys who progress to that end of dialysis. Now the question: where are the rest? Where are the rest?
Because the reason I ask that, City, is because you find kidney disease is as a result of something else. In this continent, we are prone to malaria that you're talking about. So perhaps we had these kidney problems before because of malaria, but we were focused on treating malaria, and perhaps maybe someone has been sick for a while, has kidney disease, but we're never focusing on that. So
absolutely. So the question I ask, what is the rest? If you see the people ending in dialysis, so where are the other people who have chronic kidney disease? I'm sure you'll find that maybe for the same, somebody come to hospital with malaria or typhoid and then die. See, most of the people actually with chronic kidney disease, they die before reaching the state of dialysis.
Okay.
Why? Because if you did not detect early, and if you don't intervene early, the kidney disease progress.
It gets worse.
It's progress.
But you see, Daktari, now we are talking about care-seeking behavior.
Yeah.
Now, women have an advantage.
Yes.
By virtue of the fact that many become mothers, care-seeking behavior is something that they normalize over time. Men.
Zero. No.
Kicking, shouting, struggling, and on death's door.
That's when you find them in the hospital.
Because we do not have a culture of simply going for checkups. Testing. We do not have that culture.
And that's why, City, we want to utilize the World Kidney Day to increase the awareness
around it.
Not only for the community, even among us healthcare workers. Why? Because let's take kidney as an example. You know, the rate of detection is very poor, even in the best place in the world you go. For example, I mentioned that detection is simple. Just give me your sample, I check. Do you know in United States itself, people who are at risk of kidney disease because of the factors that people are saying it, diabetes also.
Yes.
The rate of testing urine for kidney damage is less than 50%.
So people don't use it as a way to test.
Yes. Exactly. People are not utilizing it. See, that is in US. Now look
They're
at
not utilizing, but do they know about it? You see, one of the things that hampers such things is the knowledge.
Knowledge, yes.
Yes. I say this because I observed what it is that was done in the field of HIV and AIDS care and treatment, and why it is progress was made. My friend, the intensive effort that was focused, just focused and intensive. In the absence of that, the changes and the progress and the gains that we speak about would never have actually happened.
Exactly. I want to go quickly into the use and abuse of alcohol and what this has in effect on the kidneys. And if we are seeing that heavy alcohol users, yes, and abusers are also then sufferers of kidney disease. Do we see that? Is there a connection?
Well, alcohol, the connection is not direct.
Okay.
It's indirect. In the sense that, you know, if you take alcohol, probably not all people, some people will be taking other drugs.
Plus, we're not just talking about a glass of wine, but we're talking about serious use.
Right?
A bottle. We're talking about bottles.
Bottles,
Right.
Say it the way people understand.
Right?
Zinga.
Yeah. So alcohol itself, the effect is direct to the liver.
Okay.
But guess what? Kidney become victim because of the liver involvement.
Okay.
So you see.
Why? Explain that, the connection.
Well, it's very simple. Those organs, kidney, liver, lung, brain, heart, they communicate at cellular level, at molecular level.
They're on the same WhatsApp group.
Yes, exactly. And that's why. And that's why people with kidney disease, they die. Not because of kidney disease, because of heart issues. And that's why, Dennis, I mentioned, you see these people of dialysis, say, okay, where are the rest? The rest, they died because of cardiovascular issues. And that's why we need this early detection to prevent complication. One of the complications is premature death, which is most of the time related to cardiovascular diseases or heart diseases. So the heart is now pulled into the game and finishing people, not the kidney itself.
Got it. Wow. Look, and you know, oftentimes when we talk about health, we say, okay, well, let it be when you get into the hospital and you can deal with the doctor. But there's a lot of awareness that we can raise, not just on a day when it's celebrated around the world, but to keep these conversations front and center about how we can protect our health and that of those that are around us. We want to thank you so much on this Healthy Friday conversation, Dr. Lomatoyo, for being here with us from Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu, as we talked about kidney disease today and just giving us more insights into that. So thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning and closing out the week with us. Asante Sana. Thank you for making it part of Kenya's biggest conversation this week. Have a wonderful weekend and we'll get into it again next week, God willing. Take care. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.